Chapter 1570. Long Xinyuan never thought that he would die like this. He still had a grand plan that he had yet to complete, but it had all turned into smoke. Yixuanji laid in the distance and watched this scene. His eyelids twitched, but he did not have any intense emotions. Long Xuanyuan's life and death had nothing to do with him. Although the two of them had known each other for decades, Yixuanji, who insisted on this belief, would naturally remain indifferent. However, Yixuanji was already afraid in his heart. Would he follow in Long Xuanyuan's footsteps? Tang Zheng's gaze turned and locked onto Yixuanji. Their eyes met, and Yixuanji's heart beat violently, as if it was about to jump out of his chest. Tang Zheng's heart moved slightly. He had already seen through Yixuanji's thoughts, and walked towards him step by step. Yixuanji hurriedly got up and retreated in a sorry state. He kept waving his hands and said in panic, "What do you want?" As he spoke, he retreated step by step. Tang Zheng pressed on. The distance between the two of them closed. In fact, Yixuanji was very clear that he had no way of escaping from Tang Zheng's hands. This was a deathbed struggle. However, he was unwilling. He did not want to sit still and wait for death. Seeing that Tang Zheng was right in front of him, he suddenly leaped up. The star power from all directions gathered in his hand, and he suddenly released his palm. Toppling mountains and overturning seas. The star power surged towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's expression was calm, waiting for the star power to rush in front of him. He still did not move at all. Yixuanji was secretly delighted. However, in the next second, his face turned ashen. He saw that the star power that could topple mountains and overturn seas was like a broken mirror. With a clang, it shattered in midair. Suddenly, the shattered star power actually transformed into a lion in midair. It was speckled with stars as if it was real. The lion opened its mouth and roared. A gust of strong wind gushed out from its mouth and wrapped around Yixuanji. He was like a cannonball, rushing into the air and fiercely falling down. Tang Zheng grabbed Yixuanji with his big hand. Yixuanji struggled but still flew into Tang Zheng's hand. He looked at Yixuanji coldly and said, "Yixuanji, back then I didn't do anything to you out of consideration for Ding Dong's family of 3, but you still refused to realize your mistake. It seems that you old fogies are all stubborn people. Since that's the case, there's no need for me to continue being merciful. Otherwise, who knows when you'll go against me again in the future." His voice became colder and colder. Yixuanji felt as if he had fallen into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. His heart was as cold as ice and he began to shiver. Yixuanji, who was not afraid of anything, finally knew fear. "You really killed the High Lord?" Tang Zheng smiled and said, "Why would I lie to you? If he were still alive, would he still be able to sit idly by and do nothing when such a big thing happened in Dianan?" Yixuanji's heart dimmed. He knew that Tang Zheng's words made sense. He has already died in the 100,000 mountains. That is his final destination. You remnants of him still don't know how to repent. What awaits you will be the same as his. Tang Zheng said resolutely and decisively. His gaze swept across the people present. They all lowered their heads, not daring to look at Tang Zheng. Without a doubt, the imposing Tang Zheng was not someone they could fight against. The original confidence in their hearts was crumbling bit by bit. Ji Wuxiang's death was the last straw. They were in complete despair. Yixuanji was also in despair. Ji Wuxiang was his biggest support. Now that Ji Wuxiang was dead, what else could he do? But his dignity made him not want to admit defeat like this. Especially since he had known Tang Zheng for so long and witnessed his rise. But in his heart, the image of Tang Zheng still remained. It seemed that he did not want to look at Tang Zheng with the eyes of the times. Naturally, he did not want Tang Zheng to suppress him. Yixuanji gradually raised his head and said, "Although the High Lord is dead, we still have so many people. Dianan is a paradise for martial artists. They can create a career here and fight against you cultivators." Tang Zheng shook his head regretfully. He was really stubborn. Since that was the case, then he would kill him. He closed his 5 fingers. Yixuanji was immediately unable to speak. Blood could not be supplied to his brain. As a result, his face became extremely pale and his breathing gradually weakened. Suddenly, the image of Ding Dong's family of 3 jumped into his mind. The strength of his 5 fingers could not help but loosen. Yixuanji was given a chance to breathe. He greedily took in large mouthfuls of air, but his eyes were full of ridicule and provocation when he looked at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's eyes darkened. He understood a principle. Yixuanji was the same as Long Xinyuan in his bones. They were both stubborn people. Moreover, for the sake of himself or the benefit of his family, he would do anything. He would even sacrifice everything for his family. This kind of person was not only a scourge to himself, Perhaps in the future he would also cause harm to Yi Dingdong's family of 3. Even so, he might as well let him be the bad guy. After his heart was settled, his gaze became firm. Yi Xuanji, who had just gotten a chance to breathe, was suddenly startled. He looked at Tang Zheng with a dazed expression. Someone as quick-witted as him could see some clues from Tang Zheng's eyes. You. His mind trembled. Just as he was about to speak, before he could finish a word, Tang Zheng's 5 fingers fiercely hit the contract. Gotcha. Yi Xuanji followed in Long Xuanyuan's footsteps. His head tilted and he lost his life. From then on, only the Yin family was left among the several great families. The 100-year-old family had fallen here, completely eliminated in the long river of history. When the other martial artists saw this scene, they did not dare to resist. They all knelt on the ground and begged Tang Zheng for mercy. Tang Zheng did not look at them. He did not have any big plans for these martial artists, but he was not prepared to start a massacre. It was enough to get rid of evil. There was no point in killing more. I don't care what you did in the past. From now on, let go of everything in the past. You can peacefully cultivate and live in the land of Dianan. No one will make things difficult for you or hurt you. But if there is someone who is stubborn, I don't need to say anything. You know what will happen. Do you hear me? Tang Zheng's voice was not loud, but the martial artists heard it like thunder. They all nodded like they were pounding garlic and could not wait to agree. 4 symbols, let's go. Tang Zheng slowly rose into the air and flew out of the crater. 4 symbols leaped and landed on the edge of the crater like a cannonball, splashing up dust into the air. Under the setting sun, in the distance, 2 figures, one big and one small, stood quietly with their backs to him. However, looking at these 2 figures, his heart was incomparably calm. The killing intent from before completely disappeared and turned into tenderness. He quickened his pace and walked over. When the 2 heard the footsteps, they turned around. Nana had no more tears. Like a little angel, she flew into his arms. Mu Hongyan smiled faintly and looked at Tang Zheng affectionately. Her eyes were filled with happiness and complete relief. Chapter 1571. Without Ji Wuxiang and Dianan, the leader was also gone, leaving behind a group of warriors who were in a state of panic. His almost equal to Tang Zheng did not care about this mess, and brought the few of them on the somersault cloud and flew back to the capital. After a few days, the few people in the capital were extremely worried, and had been paying attention to the situation in Dianan. However, Dianan was an iron bucket, and there was no way for the news to spread. But vaguely, many people still understood that something earth-shattering must have happened in Dianan. Although the few of them believed in Tang Zheng's strength, they were still worried in their hearts. After all, Ji Wuxiang's strength was unquestionable. When they saw their triumphant return, the few of them finally heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts, and immediately began to ask questions at the same time. When they found out about the earth-shattering event in Dianan, everyone fell into silence. After Yi Dingdang heard that Tang Zheng had died, she was silent for a while, then looked deeply at Tang Zheng, and held his hand in front of everyone's eyes and said, "Tang Zheng, don't take it to heart, this is his own choice, it's not your fault." Tang Zheng did not expect her to comfort him in turn, and was moved in his heart, saying, "As long as you don't blame me, it's fine. I don't have any kinship with him in the first place. As for my father, I believe that after experiencing so much, he already understands who is the one who is truly good to our family of 3. Yi Xuanji was indeed not good to Yi Dingdong's family of 3, and did not fulfill his responsibility. Instead, once there were benefits, he would use them, causing Yi Dingdang to be dissatisfied. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Even if he blames me, I won't have any complaints and I won't regret doing so." The others were even more immersed in Ji Wuxiang's actions. The heavenly chess he created actually had such great power, creating a country within a country, a world where only warriors could cultivate. Marshall and the others, who were also warriors, were filled with emotions. They had all learned how to absorb the power of the stars, and were even more clear that after obtaining the power of the stars, their cultivation would undergo earth-shattering changes. Marshall's eyes gradually lit up. She had been trying to find a way to help Tang Zheng. This way, she would also have her own position among the women. "Tang Zheng, since those warriors are dragons, now is the best time for us to reorganize them." Marshall's voice deepened and said solemnly. Tang Zheng looked at her with admiration. Her vision was very unique, it was just that he did not have the energy to do so. If they are free for a long time, then they might not. Future of affairs. After all, in an environment where the power of the stars is abundant, the growth of a martial artist's cultivation is not slower than that of a cultivator's. Marshall said worriedly. Tang Jing nodded his head in relief. Marshall was able to foresee this point, and when Marshall saw Tang Jing's encouraging eyes, she knew that he was encouraging her to continue speaking, so she continued, I have the confidence to recruit this group of warriors. Not only will they not become a factor of chaos, but they will also become a great help to us. Pausing for a moment, she continued to organize her words and said, Back then, Yan Qingyi predicted that the end of the world would appear, but it hasn't appeared yet. I don't know if it's true or not, but looking at Yan Qingyi's situation, I believe that it's true. Then what will happen in the future that will cause such serious consequences? We can't predict it for the time being, but if we have enough strength, even if such a situation really happens, we have enough strength to stop it all. Martial artists can use their strength in such a situation. Taking 10,000 steps back, if the people of the sky beyond heaven were to invade our world, then our world would have another force to fight back, don't you think so? Marshall said everything that he wanted to say in one breath, and then looked at Tang Jing with a burning gaze. The others were also interested by what she said, and looked at her with bright eyes. These words were indeed meaningful and not without reason. Marshall, your idea is very good. I raised both hands in agreement. Tang Jing smiled and deliberately raised both of his hands. Seeing this, the others all nodded in agreement. Li Xiaotian looked at her thoughtfully, thinking that Marshall was really smart, to actually grab hold of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, she did not have any other thoughts. She had the Li Palace in her hands, and the intelligence of the Li Palace was not weak either. Furthermore, the intelligence system was not something that others could casually compare to. Moreover, once the southern Yunnan became a martial artist's paradise, the Li Palace would also move their headquarters into the southern Yunnan, forming a situation where one was in the light and the other was in the dark. The Li Palace would be able to hide in the dark, making all schemes and plots unable to hide. Even if Ji Wuxiang's remnants had any tricks up their sleeves, it would be difficult for them to make a difference. Only one point, the disciples of the Li Palace had not yet learned how to absorb the power of the stars, and this point had fallen into the hands of Tang Jing. Tang Jing glanced at the few of them, his gaze lingering on the bodies of the few martial artists, and said, In the past, I did not really announce the method for martial artists to absorb the power of the stars to the outside world, but now that Ji Wuxiang is dead, this point is very necessary. Everyone's heart was moved, they had already more or less guessed Tang Jing's idea. Tang Jing continued, So, I will announce this secret. Ji Wuxiang had always hidden this secret, trying to use this point to control the martial artists under him. But I do not need to worry about this, no matter if the martial artist is my enemy or my friend, they will all benefit from it, even if there is a provocative madman. I will not be afraid. He was full of confidence, he indeed had the ability to say such words, no one objected. On the contrary, everyone nodded slightly, directly acknowledging this point. Yi Dingdang excitedly said, This way the strength of the martial artists in the world will also be stronger in the future. Even if the sky beyond sky threatens this world, the martial artist can also provide a helping hand. As a martial artist, Yi Dingdang's strength had always not improved as quickly as the cultivators, especially when Fang Shishir started at the same time as her. In fact, Fang Shishir started slightly later than her. Their relationship with Tang Jing was also the earliest. Now that Fang Shishir had the careful guidance of Tian Chanzi, her cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, she had already left Yi Dingdang behind. Although Yi Dingdang did not say it in her heart, she also did not keep mentioning this issue. After all, her skills were not as good as others, how could she have the nerve to ask for humiliation? However, it was different this time. Martial artists actually had their own paradise, and the rise of martial artists was unstoppable. Naturally, her strength would rise with the tide, and her status and authority among the women would increase day by day. Then the task of spreading this news will be handed over to Li Palace. In addition, this news about the power of the stars will be announced in Dianan, so martial artists who want to know this news must go to Dianan. Tang Jing thoughtfully made a change. Chapter 1572. The martial artists went to Dianan, not only Li Xiaotian and Wu, but even Yi Dingdang couldn't help but go to Dianan. There was no need to worry too much about the situation in Dianan, so Tang Jing put his thoughts on other things. However, he did not expect that the news about the martial warriors that he announced would cause such a huge reaction. He had no time to do anything else, and the Yen family had already come knocking on his door. The 3 generations of the Yen family had come together, so it was obviously very grand. After the few of them sat down, Yen Padian stammered for a long time, but he didn't know how to open his mouth. Ever since the incident with Yan Qingyi, The two sides no longer had the same tacit understanding as before, and an invisible barrier had been created. Now the Yin family was filled with regret. If not for this matter, the Yin family would have definitely benefited a lot from it and would not have been as awkward as it was now. The Yin family was one of the only remaining large families. Although Tang Jing did not target them, when the news of southern Yunnan becoming a martial artist's paradise was announced, the impact on the Yin family was not small. The Yin family were all warriors, and this was also the key to ensuring that the Yin family would not fall. However, after the other martial warriors went to southern Yunnan, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds, and the Yin family's advantage over the other martial warriors would disappear. In time, the decline of the Yin family was inevitable. This was because after these martial warriors became stronger, they would also establish their own family, and would inevitably compete with the Yin family. Then, the Yin family would be slowly defeated, and it would not be long before the sun set in the west. The entire Yin family felt a strong sense of crisis, so they could not sit still. A few people came together to visit Tang Jing. Tang Jing's thoughts were sharp, looking at Yin Potion's stammering appearance as well as Yin Qishan and Yin Liuyun's extremely unnatural state. He guessed their intentions. Cough cough. He lightly coughed twice, interrupting Yin Potion's words. The three of them looked nervously at Tang Jing, afraid that he would say something that would reject them. The three of you, we are all old acquaintances, so there is no need to be so secretive. I have already guessed your intentions. You must be here for the matter of southern Yunnan, right? Tang Jing's words revealed their purpose, and they could not help but relax. The most difficult words to say were spoken by Tang Jing himself, making them feel much more relaxed. However, the hearts of the three of them were also in suspense. If Tang Jing rejected them, then it would be difficult for them to say another word. Then the Yin family's path in the future. Yin Padian said resentfully, "Young Master Tang's fiery eyes, our goal is indeed unable to escape your eyes. Southern Yunnan has become a warrior's paradise, and their cultivation will soar. As martial artists, we naturally want to experience it so that we can have greater achievements." Tang Jing smiled faintly and gradually understood the thoughts of the Yin family. He was also very clear about their worries and the current situation they were facing, and couldn't help but ponder. The three members of the Yin family all looked nervously at Tang Jing, afraid that he would say the word, no. Finally, Tang Jing slowly opened his mouth and said, "If you are willing, you can go to southern Yunnan." The three of them immediately revealed expressions of relief. Their smiles blossomed from the bottom of their hearts, and their tightly clenched fists were sweating profusely. "Thank you, young Master Tang." Yin Padian sincerely thanked him, and could not help but feel ashamed of his inferiority. Young Master Tang's level of thinking was far from what he could compare to, and he was actually worried that young Master Tang would reject him. However, Tang Jing suddenly changed the topic, and the smiles of the three immediately froze as they looked at him nervously. "But isn't your Yin family's foundation in the capital? If you go to southern Yunnan, what will happen to your foundation?" Tang Jing asked curiously. The Yin family's so-called going to southern Yunnan was not just going there for a few days, but was truly settling down in southern Yunnan. Although Yin Padian did not say it out loud, Tang Jing had already understood. The Yin family's 100 years of foundation was all in the capital, and this was a huge blow. That was why Tang Jing had such a question. Yin Padian heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that Tang Jing would go back on his word, but it turned out to be this matter. Actually, before they came, the Yin family had already discussed it. They were very clear about the consequences of going to southern Yunnan. However, in the end, they unanimously decided that they had to take this risk. Moreover, what they would gain in the future would be more than what they would lose. Therefore, this deal was very worth it. Yin Padian replied, "Thank you, young Master Tang, for being so considerate for us. However, we have come to the same conclusion. The foundation of the Yin family is not only those dead things, but also the people of the Yin family. This is the foundation of the Yin family's 100 years of existence. As long as the Yin family is still here, then the Yin family can create even more glory." Tang Jing's eyes lit up. Yin Potion's eyes were very unique. He actually saw this point. In fact, in Tang Jing's eyes, those industries and other dead things were not as important as people. Therefore, he did not pay too much attention to the industries under his name. He cared more about the people by his side. With people he could have other things. People were the foundation, and people were the foundation. Only then could he truly create an immortal foundation. Heroes think alike. The Yin family's point of view was the same as his. No wonder they could become the only surviving family. "Then I don't object to you going to South Yunnan." Tang Jing reiterated his attitude. The three members of the Yen family heaved a sigh of relief. They were all grateful to Tang Zheng for not falling out with the Yen family because of Yen Qingyi. Before leaving, Yen Padian hesitated for a moment and said, "Young Master Tang, the next time I see Qingyi, I will definitely advise her not to go against young Master Tang." Tang Jing smiled but did not comment. Yen Qingyi was not someone that could be persuaded by ordinary people. He did not know to what extent she had comprehended the heavenly Tao and what kind of actions she would take. Looking at the Yen family leaving in a hurry, Tang Jing fell into deep thought. After a long time, he slowly shook his head and did not think about this problem. Because this problem was temporarily unsolvable. As for the Yen family's exhibition in South Yunnan, he was not worried at all. Li Xiaotian, Wu and the others had already gone to South Yunnan to make arrangements, and the heavenly chess was still under the control of Tang Zheng. It was absolutely impossible for the Yen family to overturn the heavens in South Yunnan. With Yen Potion's intelligence, he would definitely not do such a stupid thing. Therefore he was not worried. Right now, the capital had truly become Tang Zheng's base camp. The officials had already chosen to turn a blind eye to it, and there were no martial artists to fight against him. In fact, there was no one or power in this world that dared to make an enemy out of him. His gaze involuntarily landed on the sky beyond heaven. I wonder how Xiao Bai and the others are doing in the sky beyond heaven? He had promised Xiao Bai that he would send the Scarlet Moon Beast and the others over. Now was the time. Just as this thought appeared in his mind, his heart suddenly moved, and an ominous premonition attacked him. His heart trembled as he cursed inwardly. With a thought, his divine sense dived into the dragon seal. His body was like a puppet, standing motionless in place. Chapter 1573. Inside the dragon seal, a few figures broke through the void and sneaked in. However, these were only spiritual senses because their bodies could not enter the Langya pavilion. They looked around in surprise. Their eyes lit up one after another, revealing greedy gazes. This is the world inside the dragon seal. We didn't have the chance to come here in the past. I didn't expect it to be like this, one of them said in amazement. The others could not hide their surprise and nodded one after another. Although we sacrificed a companion, he actually brought us to this place. He really died a worthy death. Haha, if we could have found this place earlier, it wouldn't have mattered if a few more of us died, someone echoed. Obviously, in their hearts, the lives of their companions were not worth much. For higher benefits they could sacrifice them. Who were these people? Of course they were the dragon slayers. Other than the dragons, they were the only people who had entered the world inside the dragon seal. Speaking of which, this was completely a coincidence. Back then, when the dragon slayers were fighting with the dragons, they coincidentally entered this world. When this dragon slayers died at the hands of Tang Zheng, the other dragon slayers found some clues. Then they spent a lot of effort and energy to finally follow this clue and found the secret of the dragon seal. From then on, the dragon seal was no longer a secret to the dragon slayers. They could not enter this place on their own, but they could capture a dragon and enter through it. In the great wide world, the dragon slayers did not need to spend too much effort to find the dragons. Therefore this world was completely open to them. The dragon slayers looked around with shining eyes and clicked their tongues in wonder. It was as if they had walked into the Grand View Garden. Of course, the greed in their hearts was infinitely stimulated. Why is there a fog in front of us? They did not reach the Langya Pavilion or the inverted Langya Pavilion. They were only in the fog. This was where the dragon slayers and the dragons could not be compared. When the dragons entered this place, they would be directly teleported to the front of the Langya Pavilion. As for the dragon slayers, they came in by accident and landed in a random place. This time they landed in this fog. There was a large amount of fog between the two Langya pavilions, and their vision was very blurry. Therefore they did not see anything at all just now. However, based on their innate perception of the dragon souls, they had already found some clues. This place had a large number of dragon souls. In the past, we've always thought that the most powerful dragon souls of the dragon clan did not fall into our hands. After all, when we first arrived at the dragon clan's graveyard, although we also captured a large number of dragon souls, it was still quite far from what we expected. Now it seems that our judgment was right. The dragon race is cunning and has long since transferred the truly powerful dragon soul. A dragon slayer's eyes flickered as he spoke. The other dragon slayers nodded and said, "The dragon race is really cunning. They played a trick on us, making us mistakenly think that we have already captured all of those dragon souls." Aha, but the dragon clan would never have thought that no matter where the dragon soul was hidden, it would not be able to escape the pursuit of us dragon slayers. Look, we can now wipe out all those dragon souls. Once I absorb those dragon souls, my cultivation will advance by leaps and bounds. Just thinking about it is wonderful. The few of them revealed looks of longing. The greed in their eyes grew stronger and stronger, unable to be concealed at all. Let's go and find the dragon soul. The few of them were unable to fly and could only move forward in the fog. The direction they were heading towards was not the Langya Pavilion, but the inverted Langya Pavilion where countless dragon souls were buried. Obviously, they had an innate sense and detection ability towards the dragon soul. Whoosh. Suddenly, there was a slight sound of air being torn apart in the fog. Although it was almost inaudible, it did not escape the dragon slayers' ears. Their expressions turned cold and they reached out to grab at the void. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Waves of surging power surged out from their palms and transformed into claws. These claws were very similar to dragon claws and were covered with thick scales like steel. Bang! With a muffled sound, the air wave tore apart a cloud of fog. The dragon slayers were not injured but were surprised by this attack. They all raised their spirits at the same time and shouted loudly, "Who is it? Who dares to sneak attack the dragon slayers?" No one answered. The dragon slayers looked at each other and revealed a look of contempt as they said, "It must be one of the dragon souls, right? Hehe, it's your bad luck to bump into us. You don't want to make a sound, right? Playing hide and seek with us. Hehe, for so many years who knows how many dragons have played this trick with us, but without exception they all lost their lives in the end." Sense the dragon souls. The dragon slayers let out a low roar and immediately used their divine ability to sense the location of the dragon souls. However, they did sense the existence of dragon souls very far away, but there was not a single dragon soul in the surrounding area. Strange. That attack clearly came from nearby. How could there not be any dragon souls? Other than the dragon slayers, there were only dragons here. There were no dragon souls, so who was attacking them? The few of them looked at each other and revealed a look of shock. They could not figure out what was going on. Whoosh! Another sound of air being torn apart flew over. The attack clearly came from nearby. The dragon slayers were shocked. The enemy was clearly nearby, but they could not sense it at all. This was the first time in thousands of years that this had happened. Attack. The few of them cooperated very well. A few claws flew out, but they missed. A surge of surging power flew from behind and struck their backs. The few of them were shocked at the same time. They quickly turned around to counterattack, but it was already too late. One of the dragon slayers was directly penetrated by this surge of power. Boom! With an explosion, the dragon slayer's soul scattered and dissipated in the fog. The dragon slayers scattered in all directions. They were really shocked by this attack. Their own people could not even withstand a single blow, and their souls were scattered. This was too strange, something that had never happened before. "Get out here, you dare to kill us dragon slayers. You are dead meat. I will skin you, stupid dragon, pull out your tendons and tear your body into pieces. I will also torture your dragon soul and make you suffer endless pain." The dragon slayers stomped their feet and cursed. This kind of situation was rare, especially in a confrontation with the dragon race. The dragon slayers had always firmly held the upper hand. How could they be in such a sorry state like this? Tang Zheng was hiding in the fog. Ever since he entered the dragon seal, he discovered the whereabouts of these dragon slayers. He was not in a hurry to show himself. The dragon slayers were very powerful, especially when there were a few of them together. He knew that he might not be able to gain the upper hand in a direct confrontation. Thus, he cleverly adopted a roundabout tactic, using the fog as a cover to launch a sneak attack. The truth proved that after probing once, the sneak attack was very successful. Chapter 1574. Tang Zheng's lips curled into a smile as he listened to the dragon slayer's curses. Ever since he killed the dragon slayers twice in the past, he was no longer so fearful of them. The dragon slayers were not undefeatable. As long as he was strong enough and found the right method, he could also kill the dragon slayers in one strike. Of course, he was also shocked that so many dragon slayers had entered this world this time. He knew that from now on, the Langya Pavilion would probably never have a day of peace. This was an unsolvable problem. Once the dragon slayers discovered this secret, it would definitely spread among the dragon slayers. Then he would not be able to avoid all of this. The only thing he could do was to rely on the magical power taught by the dragon seniors to monitor the Langya Pavilion's movements in real time. Once the dragon slayers arrived, he would know immediately and quickly attack. However, it was just a few dragon slayers this time. What if there were many dragon slayers here in the future? Could he still deal with them? He did not know the answer. He only knew that he had to get rid of these guys in front of him immediately. Otherwise, the Langya Pavilion would be turned upside down by them now. The Dragon Slayers shouted for a long time, but there was no reply. They knew that this was troublesome. The other party was not an impatient guy. Insults would not be able to provoke him and make him appear. However, the Dragon Slayers were puzzled. Their method of sensing the dragon's soul was a tried and tested method. Why did it not work on this guy? The other party was clearly in the surrounding fog. Why couldn't they sense him? We can't just sit here and wait for death. He's hiding in this fog. Why don't we split this fog apart? Let's see how he can hide. In the end, the Dragon Slayers discussed a countermeasure and immediately took action. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One by one, the claws tore through the air, tearing the mist apart like pieces of thin paper. The fog dissipated, revealing everything in the surroundings. The Dragon Slayers widened their eyes, trying to find the dragon who launched the sneak attack. However, to everyone's disappointment, they did not see a single figure from the Dragon clan. Where did he go? They looked at each other. They were really confused. Whoosh. An air-piercing sound descended from the sky. One of the Dragon Slayers was hit and exploded. His soul scattered, and he followed in the footsteps of his companion. In the sky. The other Dragon Slayers finally realized something and shouted. In midair, the Dragon Slayer stood on the somersault cloud. With the cover of the somersault cloud, he successfully avoided the detection of the Dragon Slayer and successfully launched another sneak attack. Of course, this also exposed his whereabouts. However, this gave the Dragon Slayers quite a fright. This was because when the Dragon Slayer arrived at this place, he realized that he couldn't fly at all. He could only rely on his 2 feet to walk on the ground. But this guy could actually ride the clouds and ride the mist. This was completely superior to them. The high and mighty Dragon Slayers had never put the dragon race in their eyes. They had only treated the dragon race as their food. Now that they had been defeated by their food, one could imagine how they felt. The most important thing was that they had entered this world with their divine sense. They couldn't even bring in their Dharma treasures, which restricted their waving and strength even more. The Dragon Slayer pointed at Tang Zheng and roared, "Dragon brat, who the hell are you? You dared to launch a sneak attack on us. In a while, we'll absorb your dragon soul and make you die very, very miserably." Although the Dragon Slayer's roar was very loud, they were very anxious. This was because they realized that they could only watch as the other party stood on the somersault cloud. They couldn't sense his presence at all. Could it be that he's not from the dragon race, so he doesn't have a dragon soul? That's why he successfully escaped our detection? A Dragon Slayer mumbled doubtfully. If he's not from the dragon race, then how can he come to this place? Another Dragon Slayer immediately retorted. Aren't we here too? Can he be compared to us? Regarding Tang Zheng's identity, the Dragon Slayers had different opinions, and there was no definite answer. However, there was no doubt that this was a troublesome opponent. We can't just sit and wait for death. We have to counterattack. But he's in midair. We don't have any Dharma treasures. How can we counterattack? I have an idea. There are many dragon souls in this place. Once we find these dragon souls and absorb them, our strength will improve by leaps and bounds. At that time, we may have a way to deal with this brat. That's right. We just have to be careful of his attacks. Everyone listen up. Don't be disrupted by him. Our target is the dragon soul. The Dragon Slayers understood tacitly and revealed excited expressions. They glared hatefully at Tang Zheng, who was in the sky, and then used their mystiques to sense the dragon souls. As expected, they immediately found something. They had already sensed the strong aura of the dragon soul, and it was not far ahead. Let's go. They chose their target, increased their speed, and sprinted in the direction of the inverted Langya Pavilion. Tang Zheng was shocked. He did not expect the Dragon Slayers to leave him behind and ignore him. Instead, they were sprinting. Oh no. Tang Zheng looked up and was shocked. This was because he had already guessed the Dragon Slayers' intentions. We definitely can't let them reach the inverted Langya Pavilion. Tang Zheng gritted his teeth and activated the somersault cloud. With a whoosh, the somersault cloud chased after them. The somersault cloud's speed was naturally faster than the Dragon Slayers. Therefore, it caught up with them in an instant. An air-piercing sound descended from the sky. The Dragon Slayer warriors had been on full alert the entire time. When they heard the sound of the air being torn apart, they immediately reacted and dodged in all directions. They did not have any intention of fighting head-on and easily dodged Tang Zheng's attack. Tang Zheng's expression darkened. Damn it. Their goal is clear. They actually don't want to tangle with me. Somersault Cloud stopped them. After a slight hesitation, he immediately reacted. The somersault cloud landed in front of the dragon slayers and forcibly blocked their path. The two sides really faced each other. The dragon slayers came to a sudden stop and stared at Tang Jing fiercely. "Who are you?" the dragon slayers asked first. "A member of the dragon tribe." Tang Jing did not say his name. Ever since he fused with the dragon bone, he had truly become a member of the dragon tribe. Therefore he was not wrong. "You're really a member of the dragon tribe?" The dragon slayers were shocked. Previously, they had been wondering about Tang Jing's identity. When they heard the words "member of the dragon tribe" from his mouth, it was obvious how shocked they were. "Then why can't we sense your dragon soul?" the dragon slayers asked. Tang Jing had a general answer to this question. Perhaps it was because he was originally a human and also a celestial. Only after cultivating the dragon god art did he slowly become a member of the dragon race. There was a certain difference between him and a true dragon. This was why the dragon slayers could not sense him at all. Chapter 1575. Tang Jing's attack was very fast. In the blink of an eye he was in front of them. He used his hand as a sword and sword chi soared into the sky. He drew in front of his chest and a yin and yang fish was formed. They spun and flew towards the dragon slayers. The dragon slayers' expressions were stern. They truly felt the danger. They roared and moved at the same time. With a flash of their figures they disappeared from where they were. In the next second they were already in close combat with Tang Jing. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. This was the power of the claws. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. This was the sound of the wind caused by the yin and yang fish. Boom boom boom. The two sides clashed and disappeared. The dragon slayers arrived in front of Tang Jing. A few pairs of hands grabbed at the various parts of Tang Jing's body. They cooperated very well and divided the work. Their power increased greatly. Tang Jing used his hand as a sword and directly swung it. Sharp sword chi rippled from his arm. His arm became extremely sharp. It was really like a treasure sword that could cut through iron like mud. Boom. The air was cut open. The hand sword hit the claws. With a loud clang, both hands were actually repelled. In this attack, both sides were actually not at a disadvantage. They were evenly matched. Instantly, Tang Jing had a rough estimate of the dragon slayer's strength. These few dragon slayers' cultivation was definitely not lower than his. They were probably even higher than him. It was just that in this world they couldn't use their full strength. Although he was also restricted to a certain extent, it definitely wasn't as much as the dragon slayers. "I'll hold him back. You guys go and find the dragon soul." One of the dragon slayers shouted and rushed over fiercely. The other dragon slayers understood. They all rushed to the side trying to avoid Tang Jing. "Stop!" Tang Jing roared and quickly chased. However, the dragon slayers in front of him didn't give him a chance and quickly blocked him. Both sides exploded into an intense battle. This gave the other dragon slayers a chance to escape. "Somersault cloud, stop them," Tang Jing ordered. With a whoosh, the somersault cloud appeared in front of a dragon slayer. The dragon slayer grabbed at empty air. The somersault cloud was, in essence, a cloud. Hence, it was useless for the dragon slayer to tear it apart. On the contrary, this dragon slayer was delayed because of this fight. This was completely a drop in the bucket. The other dragon slayers took the opportunity to slip away. "Ah!" Screams suddenly rang out. Tang Jing was incomparably anxious. These screams did not mean that the dragon slayers had met with some mishap, but that they were stepping on air. They were only one step away from the inverted dragon slayer. As long as they landed on the ground, they would immediately discover that place and so many dragon soul would be killed by them. Tang Jing did not have time to care about the effects of the heaven realm after these dragon slayers were sucked into the black hole. He steered the somersault cloud and quickly chased after them. If he was a step late, so many dragon souls would be in trouble. When the somersault cloud landed, he saw the dragon slayer rushing into the inverted Langya pavilion from afar. "Stop!" Tang Jing's heart quivered, and he immediately chased after him. In a flash, he rushed into the Langya pavilion, and just happened to see the dragon slayer standing in front of a large group of dragon clan tombstones. His wild with joy made Tang Jing shudder. "You are not allowed to hurt the dragon souls." Seeing that a dragon slayer was already using his mystical ability, the nearest dragon soul flew up from the tombstone and flew towards the dragon slayer. Tang Jing descended from the sky and stood between the two parties. With a push of his hand, the black hole flew out from his palm and became bigger and bigger. His palm was aimed at the dragon slayer. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The dragon slayer was just a wisp of spirit. Without the protection of a physical body, it was a piece of cake in front of the sky-devouring technique. It was a delicious dish without any defense. Therefore, with a flash of light, the black hole sucked in 2 dragon slayers. The dragon slayer was suddenly enlightened. He finally understood how Tang Zheng could break through the encirclement and catch up to them in such a short time. Stop him. Let's go upstairs. The dragon slayer had already sensed that an even larger dragon soul was still upstairs. Although the dragon souls below were not bad, they were far from the ones above. If he wanted to quickly increase his strength, he naturally had to absorb the dragon souls above. Stopping Tang Zheng's attack became especially important. Chapter 1576. A few dragon slayers blocked Tang Zheng, but the black hole had already flown in front of them. They couldn't stand still at all and used all their skills to try to escape the suction of the black hole. With this opportunity, those dragon souls that had already flown up from the tombstones flew back to the tombstones and luckily escaped the calamity. Sky-devouring technique, absorb. Tang Zheng roared and flew up. The power of the black hole increased greatly, and the few dragon slayers disappeared in the black hole in the blink of an eye. Tang Zheng didn't even have time to catch his breath and rushed to the second floor with a tap of his toes. However, there were no dragon slayers on the second floor. The dragon slayers had already realized that the more powerful the dragon soul, the higher the floor it was on, so they went straight to the highest floor. That's strange. Why aren't the dragon slayers restricted by the Langya Pavilion? They can actually go up the Langya Pavilion so easily? Tang Zheng muttered in his heart. The Langya Pavilion was related to the realm of the Dragon God technique. Only when one reached the corresponding realm could they go up the corresponding floor. The 2 Langya Pavilions were the same. Back then, Tang Zheng only went up to the 9th floor of the Langya Pavilion. He didn't know what was on the remaining 9 floors. Suddenly, when he rushed to the 6th floor, he saw a lone dragon slayer. He was already using his divine ability to absorb a dragon soul in front of him and was about to fuse with his body. Why is there a lone dragon slayer here? And it's only the 6th floor? Tang Zheng stretched out his hand and the other party tried to dodge, but there was still a black hole in midair, so he couldn't dodge at all. As a result, he easily fell into the palm of Tang Zheng's hand. Before the black hole absorbed his soul, Tang Zheng first used the soul-searching technique and emptied the knowledge in his brain. Suddenly he realized that this lone dragon slayer was too weak. If he was blocked in front of the restriction on the 7th floor of the Langya Pavilion, the restriction of the Langya Pavilion still existed and was still in effect. However, for various reasons the dragon slayers were also treated like the dragon tribe. Tang Zheng immediately realized something was wrong. It turned out that when the dragon slayers were at the main entrance of the Langya Pavilion, they were also blocked by the restriction. However, with so many dragon slayers gathering everyone's strength, they actually managed to break through the restriction in one fell swoop and barged in. Once they entered the Langya Pavilion, they would be considered to have truly obtained the same treatment as the dragon clan. That was, they would be able to ascend to the corresponding floor based on the realm of the dragon soul that they had absorbed. The most powerful dragon soul that this lone dragon slayer had ever absorbed was only able to reach the 6th level. Naturally, he could only stop here. After Tang Zheng understood this point, he was both shocked and angry. Could it be that this group of dragon slayers had not absorbed a more powerful dragon soul? Perhaps it was a dragon soul that could reach the 9th floor. Even Tang Zheng hadn't been up there before. If the dragon slayer went up there and he couldn't go up, wouldn't all the floors above be in trouble? We can't let this happen. Tang Zheng shuddered, gritted his teeth and quickly chased after him. When he reached the 7th and 8th floors, there were corresponding dragon slayers lingering there, trying their best to absorb the dragon souls. Fortunately, Tang Zheng managed to stop them. If one of the dragon souls was absorbed by the dragon slayers, Tang Zheng would also feel that he had neglected his duty. After all, the Dragon Clan seniors had given these dragon souls to him to take care of without reservation. If he couldn't fulfill his promise, wouldn't he be breaking his promise to the Dragon Clan seniors? Tang Zheng swept away all obstacles and ascended to the 9th floor. His pupils couldn't help but constrict because he saw that the Dragon Clan on the 9th floor was already absorbing the dragon souls crazily. Half of one of the dragon souls had already fused with the dragon slayers. Come back! Tang Zheng roared, his eyes wide open in anger. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the dragon soul's tail. The dragon soul immediately stopped and didn't continue to fuse with the dragon slayers. Seeing this, the dragon slayers were anxious and angry. They cursed non-stop, "Damn you, you actually want to stop me." There wasn't just one dragon slayers on this floor. There were two other dragon slayers who immediately came to help and attacked Tang Zheng's vital parts. Tang Zheng grabbed the dragon soul with one hand and executed the sky-devouring technique with the other. He fiercely slammed his palm over. Whoosh! A black hole shot out from his palm and directly enveloped one of the dragon slayers. Before the other party could react, he immediately disappeared without a trace. The other dragon slayers were stunned. Just now they didn't see Tang Zheng execute the sky-devouring technique and hurried upstairs. Thus, they didn't expect him to have such a powerful mystical ability. However, the other one didn't believe it. He was on guard and charged over again like a ferocious tiger. Tang Zheng leaned to the side and dodged this attack. This was because the dragon slayers in front of him who were in a stalemate with him also attacked. One was close while the other was far away. Of course, he had to deal with the dragon slayers first. He slipped and closed the distance between him and the dragon slayers in front of him. Before the other party could react, he pressed his palm against the dragon slayer's chest. Black light erupted and enveloped the dragon slayers. The dragon slayers flashed and disappeared without a trace. Even the half-fused dragon soul was almost sucked into the black hole. Fortunately, Tang Zheng's sky-devouring technique had already reached the realm of perfection. He could control it freely. Thus, even if he stopped, he avoided the tragedy of the dragon soul being sucked in. The attack of the remaining dragon slayers also reached Tang Zheng's back. He didn't have time to retaliate. Bang! With the power of this claw, Tang Zheng's soul was almost torn to pieces, and a large hole appeared on his back. Ah! Tang Zheng subconsciously let out a scream and staggered forward. He fell to the ground and was in a slightly sorry state. The dragon slayers were overjoyed. Although they had sacrificed so many of their companions, at least they had defeated the enemy. They quickly pounced forward and prepared to give Tang Zheng a fatal blow. Tang Zheng lay on the ground and didn't have time to turn around. He pushed back with his palm and happened to collide with the dragon slayer's claw. The black hole kept trembling and the suction force was greatly reduced. The dragon slayers had just been imprisoned by the sky-devouring technique, but they immediately broke free. Obviously, the power of the sky-devouring technique had decreased, and the threat to the dragon slayers had also decreased. The dragon slayer's strength was not lower than Tang Zheng's, and Tang Zheng was heavily injured. It wouldn't be easy to easily suck the dragon slayers into the heaven realm. The dragon slayers also understood this point. They revealed a proud expression and said arrogantly, "Your divine ability isn't working anymore. I'll kill you first and then absorb all the dragon souls on this floor." I haven't absorbed such a powerful dragon soul in a long time. There were fewer and fewer dragons in the world. The chances of the dragon slayers finding more dragons had also decreased. It was especially difficult to find powerful dragons. This dragon slayer's strength was not low at all. They had absorbed many dragon souls, but the dragon souls that they had absorbed for a long time were very weak. They were far from a dragon soul that could reach the 9th floor of Langya Pavilion. Chapter 1577. The dragon slayer and Tang Zheng's palms were pressed against each other. The black hole was not stable and was constantly trembling. It could collapse at any time. The dragon slayer said proudly, "No matter what strange things you have, your path has come to an end. After killing you, all the dragon souls here will belong to us, the dragon slayer." With that, the dragon slayer swept his claw towards Tang Zheng. The surging power caused a strong wind to blow. Tang Zheng hurriedly used his hand as a sword and pointed his finger upwards. Like a treasured sword being unsheathed, he ruthlessly struck the dragon slayer's claw. The sword chi in his finger was like a rainbow. With a piu sound, a small hole was created in the dragon slayer's claw. The dragon slayer turned pale with fright and staggered back. He exclaimed, "You're about to die, but you're still so powerful. I really didn't expect that." Tang Zheng took a deep breath and slapped the ground with his palm. He stood up lightly and said with a gloomy face, "Dragon Slayer, do you really think you have the upper hand?" The Dragon Slayer's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and said, "Humph, let's see how long you can last." He was very confident in his previous attack. He didn't think that Tang Zheng would have much strength to counterattack after taking this attack. Indeed, the power of the Dragon Slayer's attack was extraordinary. Tang Zheng's soul was almost shattered. Fortunately, he cultivated the Ksitigarbha Sutra and his soul was strong. It was not something that could be completely defeated with just one attack. In addition, after Tang Zheng discovered that the power of his Devouring Heaven technique had weakened, he had an idea and immediately used the Devouring Heaven technique's soul to make up for this weakness. In the Heaven realm, the Dragon Slayer's soul had already turned into surging energy and descended from the sky, landing on the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. It actually grew to the height of 2 people. The surrounding ground also grew green flowers and plants, full of vitality. Without a doubt, all of these changes caused the heaven realm to undergo a qualitative change. Even the realm of the devouring heaven technique was slowly increasing. The devouring heaven technique had already reached the realm of moving mountains and moving seas, which was the only realm left. Tang Jing had a premonition that the sky-swallowing technique was slowly progressing toward the ultimate realm. However, Tang Jing was indeed injured, so he didn't immediately expose this point. Showing weakness to the enemy would make the enemy proud and lower their guard. The Dragon Slayer's wariness had indeed dropped by a lot. Originally, when he saw his 2 companions mysteriously disappear, he was already shocked. However, when he saw Tang Jing's current predicament, he immediately realized that he had made a mistake in his judgment. This person had relied on some kind of magical power to win by surprise. Now that the power of this divine ability had been greatly reduced, there was naturally nothing to be afraid of. Kill? The Dragon Slayer let out a low roar, and his killing intent soared into the sky. His claws transforming into thousands upon thousands of them, interweaving into a gigantic claw that slashed down toward Tang Jing's head. Tang Jing pushed out his palm again. But no matter what, this palm seemed to be too weak. There was no way it could compare to the Dragon Slayer's attack. The Dragon Slayer's lips curled into a cruel smile. He was certain that Tang Jing was dead for sure. Bang! Tang Jing's palm and the claw collided. There wasn't much of a commotion. His palm was like a small boat swaying in the wind and rain, unable to resist at all. However, this small boat was extremely sturdy. No matter how the wind and rain battered it, there was actually no sign of it shattering. On the contrary, a black hole gradually grew in size, gradually forming in Tang Jing's palm. Not long after, the black hole became larger and larger and was extremely stable. It was completely unlike before, which was constantly trembling. The Dragon Slayer's eyes narrowed and he shouted loudly, "You're lying to me." He would be an idiot if he still couldn't see through the clues. Tang Jing was completely showing weakness to the enemy, luring him in and then killing him in one strike. The power that erupted from this black hole didn't give him a chance to escape at all. Thus, there was a flash of black light and it surged out from the black hole. Then it quickly enveloped the Dragon Slayer. The Dragon Slayer struggled with all his might, trying to break free from this terrifying power. However, it was all too late. This power was like an octopus, firmly grasping the Dragon Slayer. No matter how he struggled, it was all to no avail. Whoosh! After a soft sound, the Dragon Slayer disappeared and was sucked into the black hole. Thus, at the same time, there was another majestic energy in the heaven realm. Under the nourishment of this energy, the Tree of Life slowly grew again. Not long after, it actually grew a lot taller. Tang Jing heaved a sigh of relief. This was a narrow victory. If it was in the outside world, he definitely wouldn't have been able to win so easily. This was completely a special world in Langya, allowing both sides to fight in the state of their divine souls. In terms of the strength of the divine soul, he was far more powerful than the Dragon Slayer. In addition, the sky-devouring skill was the nemesis of the divine soul, so he could achieve a level of success. Huff huff. He kept panting a few times and looked at the fragile dragon soul beside him. It was the dragon soul that was almost sucked into the Dragon Slayer's body just now. It had already become very fragile. Go back. Tang Jing flipped his palm and grabbed the dragon soul. Then he guided it back to his tombstone. With a flash of golden light, it wrapped around the tombstone again. Tang Jing felt relieved. He looked around and saw that there was not a single dragon soul missing. If he was a step later, he wouldn't have been so lucky. I was lucky enough to complete the mission given to me by the seniors of the Dragon Clan. However, the secret of Langya has been completely discovered by the Dragon Slayer. They will definitely send a large army here. At that time, I won't be able to do anything alone. After the Dragon Slayer discovered that he had failed this time, he would definitely be more prepared and send more powerful Dragon Slayer here. Even if Tang Jing had the sky-devouring skill, it would definitely be difficult for him to deal with it. This time, it was completely because the Dragon Slayer didn't know that there was such a powerful opponent like Tang Jing and let his guard down. That was why he was caught off guard by Tang Jing. The Dragon Slayer would definitely not make the same mistake twice. Otherwise, the Dragon Slayer would not have reached such a powerful level. Tang Jing was filled with emotions. He felt that the heavy burden on his shoulders was like 1,000 caddies, pressing down on him until he could not breathe. The Golden Dragon has already gone to look for the base of the Dragon Clan. I hope there will be news soon. After meeting with the Dragon Clan, I might be able to think of a way to solve this crisis. His heart moved, he could only temporarily place his hope on this point. The Dragon Slayer has been eliminated. I can take a breather for the time being. He let out a long breath and looked around. He was about to go downstairs, but just as he reached the stairs, he stopped in his tracks. This was because a thought flashed through his mind like a bolt of lightning. His entire body trembled as if he had been electrocuted. Even his soul trembled. He turned around abruptly and stared straight at the stairs leading to the 10th floor. Chapter 1578. A fish that slipped through the net. He had actually missed a dragon slayer. He had a flash of inspiration. When he was calculating the number of dragon slayers he had eliminated, he suddenly realized that there seemed to be one missing. He climbed from the 1st floor to the 9th floor, but there was no trace of this dragon slayer. This could only mean that he was not on the 9th floor, but on the he subconsciously raised his head and looked at the stairs leading to the 10th floor. This fish that slipped through the net could only have reached a higher floor. Even Tang Zheng did not know how powerful the dragon souls on the remaining floors were. If they fell into the hands of the dragon slayer, wouldn't that mean that the dragon slayer's strength would increase by leaps and bounds? More importantly, Tang Zheng did not fulfill his promise to the Dragon Clan Senior. He felt a chill in his heart as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He walked step by step toward the stairs. Bang! He was sent flying by a mysterious force and landed on the ground in a sorry state. He still could not break through the restrictions on this floor. He gasped. He could not go upstairs, but the Dragon Slayer quietly went up. This could only mean that the Dragon Slayer had absorbed a dragon soul that could reach a higher floor. This showed how powerful this Dragon Slayer was. Most importantly, Tang Zheng could not go up. This meant that he could only watch the Dragon Slayer do whatever he wanted, but he could not do anything. No, I can't let him do whatever he wants. Absolutely not. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth, and his eyes became incomparably firm. Bang! He tiptoed and rushed to the stairs again, but he was still bounced back. After he got up from the ground, he ignored the pain all over his body and stared at the stairs with burning eyes. Am I going to fail just like that? He shook his head. I can't admit defeat. There must be a way. I have to think of a way. He did not rush up recklessly again. Instead, he paced back and forth at the stairs, looking left and right, trying to find some clues. Each floor of Langya is closely related to the Dragon God technique, but I have already cultivated to the 9th level of the Dragon God technique, so I can easily reach the 9th floor of Langya. But what about the next floor? He racked his brain as he circulated the Dragon God secret art. The Dragon God secret art circulated in his body, and before he knew it, he had transformed into a mighty 9-clawed golden dragon. The 2 dragon horns on the top of his head were like small lotuses that had just revealed their sharp horns. They flickered with golden light. Suddenly he had a stroke of luck. The golden light on the dragon horn flickered intensely, as if something had attracted the dragon horn, and that something was upstairs. Cautiously he approached the staircase and tried to ascend it again. Bang! That familiar rebounding force was still surging towards him. However, he was not sent flying this time. A beam of golden light shot out from the dragon horn and blocked the rebounding force. This, Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. Dragon horns actually had such a miraculous effect? Back then, when he grew the dragon horns, he didn't understand what they were used for. He thought that they were useless. He didn't expect that they would be useful at this critical moment. His confidence was greatly boosted and he was greatly encouraged. He muttered to himself, "It seems that hope lies on the dragon horn." He took another step forward. Bang! The rebounding force gushed out, but he did not retreat. His dragon claws were deeply embedded in the floor. A beam of golden light shot out from the dragon horn. It was as dazzling as the sun and bathed Tang Zheng's dragon body. He moved his dragon claws forward step by step. The rebounding force was actually blocked by the dragon horn. There's hope. His dragon eyes shone with a dazzling light. Step by step he finally stepped onto the first step. Success. He was overjoyed, but he did not dare to let his guard down. He activated the Dragon God technique with all his might. The dragon horn on top of his head shone even brighter. It was like a layer of armor that completely enveloped Tang Zheng's body. 1 step, 2 steps, the dawn of victory was right in front of him. Bang! When he finally reached the last step, his body relaxed. The rebounding force disappeared, and the golden light also disappeared. Could it be that the rebounding force naturally disappeared after I successfully reached the top? I reached the 10th floor just like that. Even the golden dragon doesn't know what's on the 10th floor? He was overwhelmed with emotions. He really wanted to tell the golden dragon this great news immediately. However, he immediately calmed down. This was because the scene in front of him almost scared his soul out of his body. This was because the fish that escaped the net was actually standing in the center of this floor. The space above his head was not the roof, but a sky that was like the sky. White clouds floated, and it was incomparably blue. However, a beam of resplendent golden light fell from the sky, covering the blue sky and white clouds. There was no way to see the source of this golden light, but the other end was in the hands of the dragon slayer. He firmly grasped the golden light with both hands. His expression was ferocious and crazy. He could not hide his ecstasy. He raised his head and looked at the golden light in the sky with burning eyes. He was incomparably greedy. "What are you doing?" Tang Jing did not expect that the 10th floor was like another world. It was completely different from the previous 9 floors. Just this scene alone was definitely not simple. From this, it could be seen how mysterious the 10th floor was. Chapter 1579. The Dragon Slayer was scared out of his wits. Tang Jing was in a similar situation. He could tell that this Dragon Slayer was completely different from the previous Dragon Slayer. He was much stronger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to ascend to the 10th floor so openly. Of course, he should have only been able to ascend to the 10th floor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed here and would have definitely gone to a higher floor. But no matter what the situation was, Tang Jing definitely wouldn't allow the Dragon Slayer to succeed. As for what the golden light in the air was and what it meant, he didn't know at the moment. Whoosh! The Dragon Slayer stared at Tang Jing in horror and asked, "Why do you have a dragon horn?" Dragon horn? Tang Jing was stunned. Could it be that the dragon horn was very special? He immediately thought about it. The dragon horn seemed to be very special. Could even ascend to the 10th floor. This was completely an action that surpassed one's level. From the Dragon Slayer's reaction, it was likely that the dragon horn was much more powerful than he imagined. Tang Jing deliberately sneered and bluffed, "Why can't I have a dragon horn?" As he spoke, he approached the Dragon Slayer step by step. The dragon claw fell to the ground, creating a loud boom that shook one's soul. "Stop!" The Dragon Slayer stared at Tang Jing and roared. It seemed that he was a bit afraid of him. Tang Jing immediately caught this trace of emotion. With a thought, he continued to approach the Dragon Slayer. A trace of panic flashed through the Dragon Slayer's eyes. The dragon he killed last time was still fresh in his memory. That small dragon horn had almost killed him. Now that Tang Jing's dragon horn was a bit longer and bigger, its killing power was naturally more terrifying. He suddenly understood. No wonder so many of his companions couldn't stop him, allowing him to catch up to him so easily. Tang Jing approached the Dragon Slayer step by step, but the Dragon Slayer had no way to retreat. His face turned cold and he shouted fiercely, "Since you want to die, then I'll fulfill your wish." Whoosh! He reached out with his large hand and grabbed at the air. The air was sucked in by his large hand and became a vacuum state. An energy ball gradually formed in his palm. Boom! The energy ball left his hand and flew toward Tang Jing. Tang Jing shook its head and wagged its tail. Immediately, 2 beams of golden light shot out from its dragon horns. With a loud boom, 2 bursts of energy exploded. Tang Jing's dragon claws left a few deep marks on the ground before he managed to stop himself from retreating. The Dragon Slayer, on the other hand, swayed a little before he managed to stabilize himself. However, the golden light in his hand was shaking and creaking, as if it was about to collapse. Seeing this, the Dragon Slayer turned pale with fright and roared. Using both hands, he grabbed the golden light. Only then did the golden light stabilize and not collapse. But his hands were no longer empty. Tang Jing took this opportunity to attack. He had just finished preparing his attack, but he stopped at the last moment. He raised his head and stared blankly at the sky. That was the source of the resplendent golden light, and it was unreachable. However, a strange thought appeared in his mind again. The thing that attracted the dragon horn seemed to be at the source of the golden light. He couldn't see it clearly, but he had a feeling. What could it be? Dragon soul? Otherwise, why would it attract the Dragon Slayer so much? Seeing Tang Jing looking at the sky, the Dragon Slayer became even more nervous. That attack just now seemed to have the upper hand, but he knew that if this continued, his situation would probably be even worse. After all, one was defense and the other was attack. Since the Dragon Slayer wanted something, he naturally had to pay more. I don't know what it is. Then I'll go up and take a look," Tang Jing said. Then, his dragon claws stomped on the ground and rose into the air, flying directly toward the source of the golden light. "Stop!" The dragon slayer screamed in shock. He had no choice but to free his hands and form them into claws. His claws turned into pitch-black scales, which were completely different from the dragon scales of the dragon clan. Dragon-capturing hands. The dragon slayer roared. His claws suddenly became bigger, and the pitch-black scales shone with a terrifying black light. Dragon-capturing hands was the ultimate move of the dragon slayer. It did not rely on any magic treasures and completely relied on one's own strength. Even if it was only the spirit, the dragon slayer could completely use it. However, there was a drawback to using dragon-capturing hands, and that was that it consumed a lot of power. If the attack missed or did not completely capture the dragon clan would counterattack, and the dragon slayer would become very passive. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, the dragon slayer would not use this mystical power at all. Moreover, this mystical power was not something that everyone could use. After all, one could only successfully cultivate it after reaching a certain level. He just so happened to have reached this level, and those dragon slayers from before had not reached this level at all. Therefore, even if it was a matter of life and death, they could not use it. Tang Zheng flew in midair, and when he lowered his head, he saw the black claws flying toward him. His heart suddenly trembled, and he felt a natural threat from those claws. Dragon-capturing hands? Could it be a mystical power specially used to deal with the dragon clan? Tang Zheng remembered what the dragon slayer had shouted and frowned. Humph, so what if it's specially used to deal with the dragon clan? Would I be afraid? He simply did not fly into the sky. Instead, he somersaulted in the air and aimed at the huge claws. With a dragon roar, he charged over. Boom. After the dragon claws and the dragon-capturing hands collided, the two rays of golden and black light collided, and brilliant lights overflowed. However, Tang Zheng felt his whole body tighten, as if he was firmly imprisoned. He subconsciously frowned and looked at the dragon-capturing hands that was close at hand. That strong sense of threat was incomparably clear, and it deeply stimulated his heart. The power of the dragon claws was actually unable to contend against the dragon-capturing hands. It was as if the dragon-capturing hands were specially used to restrain his dragon claws. Dragon Tail Whip. Tang Zheng roared loudly, and the dragon tail swept toward the dragon-capturing hands. Just as it was about to hit the dragon-capturing hands, the dragon claws suddenly stiffened, and stopped in midair, unable to advance any further. Haha, you still want to deal with my dragon-capturing hands? This is a mystical power specially used to deal with the dragon clan. How can you contend against it? The dragon slayer laughed wildly. At first he was still worried that Tang Zheng would not accept the challenge. If he dodged the dragon-capturing hands, then it would not be so easy for him to launch his first attack. However, this worry did not come to fruition. This dragon actually did not know what was good for him and directly accepted the challenge, and just happened to fall into the attack range of the dragon-capturing hands. The dragon-capturing hands dared to use this name, and it was not an undeserved reputation. Once a dragon fell into the attack range of the dragon-capturing hands, it would be difficult for them to escape. If other dragons saw the dragon-capturing hands, they would definitely not face it head-on. However, Tang Zheng was a dragon that had only recently become a dragon, and was completely unaware of this point. Thus, he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, and directly accepted the challenge. This just happened to fall into the dragon slayer's trap, and made him feel relieved. He thought that the outcome was set, and a great benefit would fall into his hands. Chapter 1580. Tang Zheng was trapped by the dragon-capturing hands and couldn't move. The dragon-capturing hands specifically restrained him. No matter how he struggled, he was actually helpless. Dragon horns. His heart stirred. Since the dragon slayer was so afraid of the dragon horns, then the power of the dragon horns was naturally unquestionable. Boom. Two rays of golden light shot out from the dragon horns. The surrounding air surged, but he was still unable to move. Tang Zheng was stunned for a moment. What was going on? Weren't the dragon horns very powerful? Why couldn't he break the dragon-capturing hands? But he didn't know that the dragon-capturing hands was specially used to restrain the divine abilities of the dragon race. The attack of the dragon horns was also a divine ability of the dragon race, so it would also be restrained by the dragon-capturing hands. When this dragon slayer killed that dragon race member who also had dragon horns, when the dragon slayer used the dragon-capturing hands, the dragon race member quickly dodged and didn't face the enemy head-on. This avoided the power of the dragon-capturing hands. Once the dragon-capturing hands couldn't trap the dragon race, then the dragon race members' dragon horns could freely unleash their power. The dragon slayer would naturally be surrounded by danger. Tang Jing didn't know this. He was like a butterfly that had fallen into a spider's web. No matter how he flapped his wings, there was no way to escape. Tang Jing stared blankly at the golden light that didn't have any effect. He couldn't believe it. Haha, you've already been trapped by my dragon-capturing hands and you still want to struggle? That's futile. You're dead meat. I'll let you struggle at death's door for a while. After I fuse with this dragon god fragment, I'll deal with you. At that time, even if you have dragon horns, I may not be afraid of you. The dragon slayer suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Not to mention how proud he was. Dragon god fragment? Tang Jing was suddenly stunned and cried out in surprise. The dragon slayer looked at him with a burning gaze and said thoughtfully, "So that's how it is. Haha, the ancestors of the dragon race even hid it from their own descendants. So a stupid dragon like you actually didn't know anything." Tang Jing ignored the dragon slayer's taunts. In any case, the dragon-capturing hands could only trap him temporarily and would not hurt him. Thus, he took the opportunity to ask, "What exactly is the dragon god fragment?" The dragon slayer thought for a while, shook his head and said complacently, "Seeing that you don't know anything, I might as well be merciful and let you know why you died." After a slight pause, the dragon slayer said, "The greatest leader of your dragon clan is called the dragon god. I don't know how many tens of thousands of years ago, your dragon clan already had a dragon god. His strength was extremely powerful. Unfortunately, his fate was not very good, and he died at the hands of his own brother." The dragon god was killed by his own brother? Tang Jing turned pale with fright. This was the first time he had heard of this inside story. It could be considered a true secret. Even the golden dragon had not revealed a single word to him. In fact, judging from the dragon slayer's tone, even the golden dragon might not know about this. Why did the dragon god die in the hands of his own brother? The dragon slayer seemed to have really treated him as a dead man with no chance of turning over, so he actually shamelessly explained it to him. "We were born from the same root, so why are we in such a hurry to kill each other? This kind of thing can only be done for one reason: power." When the old dragon god was dying, he passed the throne of the dragon clan to the dragon god. As his brother, he would naturally be dissatisfied and wait for an opportunity to take revenge. Killing the dragon god is naturally the best way. The dragon slayer said jokingly. This story was very melodramatic, but there were countless similar versions in the long river of history. After the dragon god died, the dragon god's soul turned into many fragments, which are the dragon god fragments. It's just that no one would have thought that the dragon god fragments were actually hidden in the dragon seal. Hee, those old fellows of the dragon clan are really cunning, trying to use this kind of method to stop us dragon slayers. The dragon slayer curled his lips in disdain. "What is the use of the dragon god fragments?" Tang Jing asked curiously. It's very useful. Once you collect all the dragon god fragments and merge them with yourself, then it's possible to become a new dragon god. This is something that countless dragon clan and even dragon slayers dream of. Ever since this dragon god died, there hasn't been another dragon god in the dragon clan. That's why the dragon clan fell from their lofty pedestal and ended up in such a state of hiding. When Tang Jing heard this, his mind was greatly shaken. He didn't think that the fall of the dragon clan actually had such an inside story. That's not right. When did the dragon slayer appear? Was it after the fall of the dragon god? Did the dragon slayer have anything to do with the fall of the dragon god? Tang Jing's mind was very active. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that there was an inside story that was hard to grasp. He hurriedly asked, "Is the dragon slayer related to the fall of the dragon god?" The dragon slayer looked at him in surprise and said in disbelief, "You dragon clan actually don't even know the origin of the dragon slayer?" Tang Jing really didn't know. I really don't know how much inside story the old fellows of the dragon clan hid from you. How do you think the dragon slayer appeared? Out of thin air? You have to know how powerful and noble the dragon clan used to be. How could anyone dare to hunt the dragon clan for a living? Isn't that just courting death? A dramatic expression appeared on Tang Jing's face. Since the dragon slayer kept saying that the dragon clan was so high, then how could there be a dragon slayer? The dragon slayer said without stopping, "I can tell that you don't know anything just by looking at your expression. The dragon clan is really getting worse with each generation. No wonder they can't escape the fate of being hunted by us. They don't even know their own history. How can a clan that doesn't know their own history be strong?" Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and didn't argue with the Dragon Slayer. He would let him show off enough and naturally reveal more inside stories. Sure enough, the Dragon Slayer deliberately asked mysteriously, "Do you know who the first Dragon Slayer was?" Tang Zheng blinked and naturally couldn't answer. "The Dragon God's brother." The Dragon Slayer pondered for a moment and spat out 5 words. Then he stared at Tang Zheng with shining eyes, as if he wanted to give him time to digest this news. Gotcha. Tang Zheng's brain seemed to have flashed with a bright flash of lightning. He was completely stunned by these 5 words. The first Dragon Slayer was actually the Dragon God's brother, which was the dragon clan that killed the Dragon God. He was dumbfounded. No matter what, he never thought that the first Dragon Slayer would be him. Gradually, the hidden clues seemed to be connecting together bit by bit, piecing together into a complete clue. A light flashed in his mind and he asked suspiciously, could it be that the Dragon Slayer was also created by this dragon clan? The Dragon Slayer laughed wildly, "Ha ha, a stupid dragon like you can actually draw inferences from one case. It seems that you aren't too stupid. You guessed right, this is the origin of the Dragon Slayer." Chapter 1581. The origin of the Dragon Slayers was actually so complicated, it really shocked Tang Zheng. But then many questions popped up in his heart. Since the founder of the Dragon Slayers was a dragon, then why did he not find so many dragons hidden in the Langya Pavilion? After all, this place was actually not guarded against the dragon race. Normally, the Dragon Clan would follow the teachings of their ancestors and not dare to come to this place. However, that traitor of the Dragon Clan would not have such concerns and would definitely turn this place upside down. How could he not discover that there were so many Dragon Clan hidden here? So, he took the opportunity to ask, "You Dragon Slayers only found out the secret of this place now, then why didn't your founder find out? Isn't he also a dragon? He can enter and leave this place freely." The Dragon Slayer's eyes were full of regret. He said, "The Dragon God was not to be trifled with. Before he died, he sealed his ability to enter and leave this place, so from then on, this place became a forbidden area for us Dragon Slayers. Ha ha ha, but the Dragon God never thought that we could enter and leave this place through this method. The old ancestor has already found this method. It won't be long before he comes here personally. When that time comes, no dragon will be able to stop his footsteps." Old ancestor? Tang Zheng's thick eyebrows jumped. Could it be that the traitor of the dragon race is not dead yet? "How dare you?" The Dragon Slayer's expression changed abruptly. He scolded sternly, "Ignorant stupid dragon, how dare you be rude to the old ancestor?" Tang Zheng snorted coldly, ignoring them. The shock in his heart was indescribable. The Dragon God was dead, but that traitor was not. No wonder the Dragon Slayers could firmly suppress the dragon race. With that traitor around, he knew the dragon race like the back of his hand, especially the various magical powers and secrets of the dragon race. He did not hold back in front of the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon Catcher hand was probably created by that traitor. Only someone who knew the dragon race so well could create such a magical power. Tang Zheng sighed. No matter which world it was, why were there so many traitors? It was impossible to guard against them. It was like this in the Outland. Even the world of the dragon race was like this. Fortunately, the Dragon God sealed the traitor's ability to enter and exit the Langya Pavilion before he died, leaving the dragon race with a chance of survival. Otherwise, the Dragon Clan would have been destroyed long ago. How could they have survived until today? The Dragon Clan seemed to be very secretive about this matter. They did not know as much about the history of the Dragon Clan as the Dragon Slayers did. Perhaps the Dragon Clan felt that there was such a traitor in the Dragon Clan, so they were too ashamed to mention this to their descendants. This was the dark history of the Dragon Clan. In fact, it was the shame of the Dragon Clan. Tang Zheng subconsciously looked towards the sky. The Dragon God fragment was there, and he definitely could not let it fall into the hands of the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon God fragment was the last thing the Dragon God had left for the Dragon Clan. How could he let the Dragon Slayer have it so easily? The Dragon Slayer did not seem to want to continue speaking. He coldly glanced at Tang Zheng, then firmly grabbed the golden light with both hands. With a loud roar, a terrifying black light erupted from his body. The black light soared into the sky, and the golden light where his hands met seemed to be dyed black. In midair, the source of the golden light seemed to appear little by little. It was a golden light that was like a scorching sun, illuminating the entire space. As it approached bit by bit, the whole world became brighter. Is that the Dragon God fragment? Tang Zheng turned pale with fright. He watched as the Dragon God fragment approached the Dragon Slayer. No, I must break free from the shackles of the dragon capturing hand. Tang Jing gritted his teeth. His eyes were resolute, but the Dragon Clan's Shintong was completely suppressed and could not do anything at all. Humph, I don't only know the Dragon Clan's divine ability. Tang Jing snorted and activated the sky-devouring technique. A black hole had just formed when a golden light flew over with a whoosh and hit the black hole hard. The black hole shook a few times and disappeared without a trace. The Dragon Slayer's eyes were like lightning. He taunted, "I know you're not an ordinary dragon. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to kill so many Dragon Slayers. Looks like my guess was right. You can actually use other divine abilities under the suppression of the Dragon Capturing Hand. It's really not easy for a genius like you to appear in the Dragon Clan. Unfortunately, the destruction of the Dragon Clan is unstoppable. How can you change it alone?" It was obvious that this Dragon Slayer was smarter than his companions. He had been silently observing Tang Jing the entire time, and when he saw him counterattack, he immediately came up with a plan. As a result, Tang Jing did not even succeed in using the sky-devouring technique. However, he did not plan to give up just like that. With a thought, a small black hole gradually condensed in his palm. Whiz! A ray of golden light suddenly appeared and ruthlessly struck his palm. If not for the fact that he had cultivated the chaotic Vajra spell, his palm would have been crippled. Only then did he turn pale with fright. The Dragon Slayer had ruthlessly suppressed him. His body was unable to move, and he was unable to even successfully counterattack. Then what should he do? Was he really going to watch as the Dragon Slayer took away the Dragon God fragment? However, he was completely suppressed by the Dragon Capturing Hand and did not have a magic treasure. Right, magic treasure. If he had a magic treasure, perhaps all of this could be changed. The somersault cloud was a magic treasure, but it was not an offensive magic treasure. It might be useful for entangling other Dragon Slayer, but against this Dragon Slayer in front of him, it was useless. He racked his brains and one idea after another popped up, but they were immediately extinguished. They were like balls of fire that were immediately extinguished as soon as they were lit. Sword Spirit. Suddenly a thought flashed through his mind. In this world of the Dragon Seal, there was no way for the body to enter. Only the Divine Soul could enter. Wasn't the Sword Soul a Divine Soul? Furthermore, the Sword Soul was an offensive weapon. It was precisely because of the Sword Soul that the mysterious hidden sword became so powerful. Can the Sword Soul come here? He suddenly had a thought. Of course, it was impossible for the Sword Soul to come in on its own accord, but if Tang Jing was by its side to help, would there be a glimmer of hope? Even if there was a glimmer of hope, he would not let it go. Seeing that the situation was getting more and more dangerous, he immediately took action. He was isolated from the outside world, so he had to summon the Sword Soul in. Sword Spirit, oh Sword Spirit, you must come in. Tang Jing thought and hurriedly activated the sword skill, trying to form a connection with the Sword Soul. The mysterious hidden sword was in the world of Sumeru, quietly showing off its wealth in midair. The sword light flowed, especially the 3 straight sacred patterns that were emitting a mysterious aura. The mysterious hidden sword suddenly hummed softly, letting out a crisp sound. Tang Jing could not see all of this. He could only summon the Sword Soul by instinct. The humming of the sword became louder and louder, resounding throughout Sumeru. Even the Shura, who was far away, could hear the humming of the sword. It was as loud as a bell. The 3 sacred patterns were flowing with brilliant colors, and the light was exceptionally dazzling. Suddenly, a ball of light floated from the sword body and rushed into the sky. The mysterious hidden sword's light completely dimmed, as if a person had lost his soul and became a walking corpse. Chapter 1582. The Sword Spirit appeared on the 10th floor in front of Tang Jing and Dragon Slayer, but it was only a ball of light, but it gave off a very sharp feeling. Dragon Slayer's pupils constricted. He stared straight at the Sword Spirit and asked, "What is this thing?" Tang Jing was overjoyed because the Sword Spirit's voice had already sounded in his heart. "Master, I'm here." The hidden profound sword could already merge with Tang Jing. It could hide in his body, but sometimes it would be placed in Shumi World. This time it happened to be placed in Shumi World. Who would have thought that it would be successfully summoned into this world by Tang Jing? The Sword Spirit was different from other divine souls. It was a magic treasure, so it could reach this inverted Langya Pavilion. The place it could reach was related to its master. There were also many magic treasures stored in Langya Pavilion, and they were placed in Langya Pavilion in their original form. This was not something that Tang Jing could do. It was done by the ancestors of the Dragon Clan. Tang Jing looked at the hidden profound sword with a burning gaze, unable to hide the surging emotions in his heart, and shouted, "Sword Spirit, attack!" With a command, the Sword Spirit let out a high-pitched sword cry. The light changed dramatically, turning into the appearance of the hidden profound sword. The sword light was boundless, and with a whoosh, it slashed towards Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer cried out in alarm and screamed, "Magic treasure! You can actually summon a magic treasure." Tang Jing proudly raised the corner of his mouth and said, "Have a good taste of it." So. Rays of sword light shot out. There was no need for Tang Jing to make a move. With just a thought, the hidden profound sword's attack was extremely fierce. Even the dragon capturing hand was unable to stop all of this. Dragon Slayer's plan had completely failed. Seeing the sky full of sword light approaching, he hurriedly met it. A few rays of light flew out from his hand. But how powerful was the sword spirit? In a situation where Dragon Slayer did not have a magic treasure, the sword spirit's attack could be said to be invincible. With a few bangs, the sword light completely dissipated. The sword spirit defeated Dragon Slayer's counterattack, and then directly slashed towards the golden light that traversed heaven and earth. No! Seeing this, Dragon Slayer turned pale with fright, and rushed towards the sword spirit without caring about his own safety, trying to stop it. He had indeed blocked the sword spirit, his arm blocking between the sword spirit and the golden light. His arm broke, the sword spirit's attack did not decrease, and slashed onto the golden light. In an instant, a dazzling light illuminated the entire world, forcing people to close their eyes. Only this light was left in the entire world. The world became exceptionally quiet. One could hear a pin drop. Gotcha. A slight cracking sound broke the silence. The light receded like the ebbing tide, and after a while, it disappeared. The world returned to its original state. Tang Jing anxiously looked over. The sky had disappeared, but he could still see the dragon god fragment floating in the air, as dazzling as the scorching sun. Tang Jing let out a sigh of relief as his gaze fell on the Dragon Slayer. Of the dragon, of the dragon, of the dead, of the dead, of the world, of the world, of the lang of the world, of the god. How could I fail? How could I fail? Dragon Slayer muttered to himself, unwillingly leaping up, wanting to rush towards the dragon god fragment. However, the tip of his foot pushed off, and after reaching a few dozen meters in the air, he fell to the ground with a whoosh. Dragon Slayer had no way of flying in the air here. Otherwise, he would have already flown into the sky and taken the dragon god fragment for himself. There was no need for him to waste so much effort. The hidden profound sword whistled and flew back from the air, slashing down on the dragon catcher hand. The dragon catcher hand exploded and Tang Jing was freed. He reached out and grabbed the hidden profound sword in his hand. Tang Jing walked towards Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer came back to his senses and looked at Tang Jing with eyes full of resentment and unwillingness, hysterically roaring, "How did you do it?" Tang Jing sneered and said, "You don't have to worry about that. In short, you have failed. Now what other methods do you have? Use them all." Dragon Slayer stood up, feeling weak in his heart. His cultivation in the outside world was definitely higher than Tang Jing, but this was the Lanya Pavilion inside the Dragon Seal. It was not a place where he could stir up trouble. Kill? Dragon Slayer roared, and with a flash he had already pounced towards Tang Jing. Tang Jing raised his sword and welcomed the attack. The War Soul Sword cried out excitedly. "Man and sword as one." Tang Jing roared, and the huge dragon body disappeared. The sword soul was wrapped in a golden light, and with lightning speed, it slashed towards Dragon Slayer. The sword soul directly pierced through Dragon Slayer's chest, and he fell to the ground, kneeling on the ground. However, waves of chi quickly gathered from his body towards the sword soul. Tang Jing's heart moved, and he already understood what was going on. The hidden profound sword could absorb divine soul, and this was an ability that it possessed when it was promoted. The moment the sword soul pierced through Dragon Slayer, it began to crazily absorb his divine soul. He was originally a divine soul, so the sword soul absorbed it effortlessly. Dragon Slayer's body was changing, turning into thousands of strands and fusing into the sword soul. Tang Jing and the sword soul were one, and he could clearly feel the sword soul becoming stronger bit by bit. With a flash of golden light, he separated from the sword soul and turned into a human. He stood at the side and looked at the Dragon Slayer who had turned into thousands of strands. He suddenly slapped his thigh, regretting that he had forgotten to use the soul-searching technique on him. When he was below, he used the soul-searching technique on the Dragon Slayer, but he did not obtain much useful information. However, from the information he obtained from the Dragon Slayer, His level was higher than the other dragon slayers, so he knew more secrets. He had actually missed such a good opportunity. He took a deep breath and calmed his feelings of regret. When his gaze was fixed on the sword soul again, he had already completely absorbed the dragon slayer. Light flickered non-stop, and energy surged in all directions. Tang Zheng looked at the sword soul with bright eyes. The strength of the sword soul was beyond his imagination. Could it be that it could improve the quality of the hidden profound sword? He suppressed his curiosity. After all, there was not much time left in the dragon seal, and there was still a dragon god fragment in midair. He had to hurry up and see if he could study the dragon god fragment. When he raised his head and looked at the dragon god fragment, he found that the dragon god fragment was violently fluctuating. It was flying around in the air like a headless fly, and there were signs of it falling. What's going on? Tang Zheng was shocked. Could it be that although the dragon slayer's actions did not completely absorb the dragon god fragment, it had already caused a serious impact on the dragon god fragment? He guessed correctly. The dragon god fragment was originally a part of the dragon god's divine soul. It was an energy body, and the dragon slayer's actions had broken its inherent balance. Chapter 1583. The dragon god fragment was on the verge of falling. Tang Zheng was at a loss. Suddenly, boom! With a loud bang, the dragon god fragment burst into a burst of bright light and fell from the sky like a meteorite falling from the sky. The loud whistling sound was particularly ear-piercing. Whoosh! Tang Zheng watched the dragon god fragment fall to the ground. No, I can't let it fall like this. What if it's destroyed? This is the dragon god fragment. If it's destroyed, it won't be reborn. He stepped forward bravely, and with a kick of his foot, he flew toward the dragon god fragment. The dragon god fragment broke through the air with a terrifying momentum. Tang Zheng met it without hesitation. Boom! Tang Zheng was hit by the dragon god fragment. It was as if he was really hit by a meteorite. His rising momentum came to an abrupt halt. His whole body trembled and he fell from the sky. He fell heavily on the ground and the floor seemed to tremble. Immediately he couldn't move. He lay on the ground like a piece of wood. Only his eyes could move, and there was a mysterious light in his pupils. A majestic energy rushed into his body. The dragon god technique automatically activated, and a huge wave of dragon chi spread out from his body. Unknowingly, he transformed into a dragon again. His huge body expanded rapidly, almost filling up the large space. He flew up lightly, and his whole body bloomed with golden light. A dragon's roar reverberated in his mind. He couldn't help but roar. The dragon's roar spread in all directions, shaking the floor until it creaked. His thoughts became very chaotic. Because, one after another, images kept jumping into his mind, colliding with his original thoughts. If he hadn't used the soul-searching technique several times and absorbed many unfamiliar images from others, he would have been tortured to the point of insanity. He gritted his teeth and digested these images bit by bit. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he did, he was shocked. These images were actually the memories of the dragon god. Most of them were childhood memories of brothers cultivating together in harmony. There were also fragmented images of the world of the dragon clan. But even so, Tang Zheng was deeply shocked by those scenes. The world of the dragon clan was actually so magnificent, even more magnificent than what he had seen in the illusion of Langya Pavilion. These pictures took a long time to calm down, but Tang Zheng's fluctuating mood could not be calmed down. Although he did not see the moment when the dragon god and his brother turned against each other, he could see from the childhood memories of both sides that the other person's talent and cultivation were not inferior to the dragon god's. No wonder he could kill the dragon god. However, it wasn't as if he didn't gain anything. A divine ability of the dragon clan caught his attention. Dragon god arts. The dragon god had also been cultivating the dragon god technique since he was young, but it was quite different from the dragon god technique that Tang Zheng cultivated. There was actually a part of the foundation of the dragon god technique. The advanced version of the dragon god technique. Tang Zheng's huge dragon eyes lit up as he stared at the set of dragon god arts, his heart surging with emotions. It turned out that the dragon god technique that he cultivated back then was only the ordinary version. The real top few of the dragon clan could actually cultivate the more powerful dragon god technique. From this, it could be seen that the world of the dragon clan was also a world with levels. In fact, it was the same for any world. The world was harmonious and this could not last long. Therefore, it was not difficult for him to understand. If the ordinary version was so powerful, then how powerful would the advanced version be? Tang Zheng couldn't imagine it. In addition, he thought of Langya Pavilion. Langya Pavilion had a total of 18 floors, and the ordinary version of the Dragon God technique had 9 levels, which corresponded to the 9 floors of Langya Pavilion. And the advanced version of the Dragon God technique also had 9 levels. Could it be that it corresponded to the remaining 9 floors of Langya Pavilion? It was just a coincidence that he used the dragon horn to force his way to the 10th floor, or rather, it was forced. When he stepped on the stairs, the rebound was still strong. Therefore, this was not a feasible method. If he really wanted to easily step on the 10th floor, he was afraid that he would need to rely on the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Moreover, this set of Dragon God technique also had 9 levels. Wouldn't it be compatible with the remaining 9 floors of Langya Pavilion? He firmly believed that his guess was correct. Therefore, he hurriedly focused on studying this set of Dragon God technique. However, just as this thought appeared, the power of the Dragon God fragment exploded again, and energy like a volcanic eruption enveloped him. He could not concentrate at all. With a boom, his body was completely stuffed, and the only remaining meridian seemed to be in danger. Ah! He roared into the sky, and it turned into a dragon's roar. This energy gathered from all parts of his body toward his Zifu, and part of it merged into Yuanying. Immediately, Yuanying shone brightly, and he jumped up and down excitedly like a lively baby. As time passed by, it was unknown how much energy the nascent soul had absorbed from the Dragon God fragment, but it actually stopped. The light all over its body also gradually converged, but a wisp of wisdom flashed in its eyes. However, this wisp of light disappeared in a flash and it did not appear again. It made people wonder if it was an illusion. Tang Jing did not notice this. He was still fighting with the remaining energy of the Dragon God fragment. He ran his skills and kept absorbing this energy. He was like a fat man, and the vital chi that was gradually converted filled his body and mind, as if it was about to explode. Boom! With a loud bang, the vital chi in his body rose steadily and finally exploded. The light on his body immediately dissipated. Thump! He fell from the air and fell heavily to the ground and turned back into a human body. However, he did not have the strength to get up, and his body felt like it was falling apart. The Dragon God fragment was too powerful, and he could not completely digest so much energy. Therefore, he only digested 1/3, and Yuanying also digested 1/3, leaving 1/3. Even so, when his vital chi gathered to the peak, he broke through the shackles in one fell swoop and reached the 7th grade of the Mahayana realm. The 7th grade of the Mahayana realm was only 2 realms away from the 9th grade of the Mahayana realm. Moreover, when he was in sky beyond heaven, he had only reached the 6th grade of the Mahayana realm. How long had it been since he broke through again? Although he was weak all over, his mood could really be described as ecstasy. He immediately stared at the remaining 1/3 of the Dragon God fragment. He really wanted to absorb it immediately, but he was already powerless. It was like a person who was full, and forcing it down would cause problems. No wonder the Dragon Slayers covet the Dragon God fragment. This effect is really not a bluff, it's amazing. He took a deep breath, and with both hands on the ground he got up little by little. After the vital chi calmed down, it repaired his body little by little, and strength returned to his body. One had to know that the Golden Dragon was a member of the Dragon Clan, so it had a natural advantage over Tang Zheng, who had become a Dragon Clan member halfway through his life. Dragon Aura was one of those advantages. In the past, although his cultivation was lower than that of Tang Zheng, his dragon's might was not low. This was a kind of innate majesty. However, at this moment he had to admit that he had lost. The dragon's might emitted by Tang Zheng gave him the urge to bow down to him. That kind of terrifying pressure couldn't be explained in a few words. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. They knew very well what it meant to hear this from the Golden Dragon. What exactly did Tang Zheng cultivate? How could there be such a huge momentum? The Golden Dragon also wanted to ask this question. He stared at the door with a burning gaze, trying to see through and see what was behind the door. Suddenly the Golden Dragon exclaimed. The others also exclaimed one after another because they found that the draconic might had disappeared. No, this wasn't an ordinary disappearance. It was converging from the outside to the inside. All the draconic might that had been emitted had been completely withdrawn. What was going on? Creak. The door opened and Tang Jing walked out. Everyone hurriedly rushed up, surrounding him so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out, and impatiently asked, Tang Jing, how are you? Do you feel uncomfortable? Kid, what exactly are you doing? Master, what did you cultivate? How could there be such a drastic change? Drastic change. This was the golden dragon's judgment of Tang Zheng. The others couldn't see through it. If he, a dragon, couldn't see through it, then he would have lived for nothing. After the golden dragon's reminder, everyone looked at Tang Zheng again. It seemed that there was really a little change. However, they couldn't tell what the change was. Tang Zheng looked at everyone with a smile. He could understand their feelings. As for the golden dragon's appearance, it was out of his expectations. He didn't expect him to come back in time. Everyone, don't worry. I'm fine. Tang Zheng waved his hand to dispel the worries in everyone's hearts. Then, he seemed to want to test the golden dragon and deliberately asked, "Do you see anything different about me?" The golden dragon narrowed his eyes slightly. His eyes shone as he asked thoughtfully, "Master, did you cultivate some kind of dragon clan divine ability again?" Tang Zheng's eyes lit up and praised, "The golden dragon's eyes are really good. You actually saw through it." The golden dragon said resentfully, "I only saw a few clues. Compared to Master, it's not worth mentioning." "Don't be modest." Tang Zheng smiled, then changed the topic and asked, "Golden Dragon, do you know that the Dragon God method is not only the part that you taught me? The memories of the Dragon God fragment were all from many years ago." He didn't know if the Dragon Clan had changed after that. For example, he didn't know if the remaining part of the Dragon God method had been passed down. The Golden Dragon looked at him suspiciously. He was at a loss as he asked blankly, "Master, what do you mean by that? Why don't I understand?" Looking at the Golden Dragon's reaction, Tang Zheng understood that the Dragon God method was still a secret to the ordinary Dragon Clan. He couldn't judge whether it had been passed down or not. Perhaps only the current Dragon King of the Dragon Clan could answer this question. The Golden Dragon saw through the clues and impatiently asked, "Master, could it be that the Dragon God method is not complete, but there is another part?" After saying that, he looked at Tang Zheng eagerly, wanting to know the answer from him. The Golden Dragon knew very well what it meant if that was the case. The Dragon God method was very important to the Dragon Clan. It was a set of basic cultivation techniques. Many of the Dragon Clan's divine abilities were performed or evolved on the basis of the Dragon God method. If there was a problem with the foundation, then it was definitely a big problem for the Dragon Clan. Tang Zheng's face became serious. He nodded heavily at the Golden Dragon and said in a deep voice, "Golden Dragon, you guessed right. There is indeed a part of the Dragon God method. You are only cultivating the basic version. There is an advanced version." These words were not loud, but in the Golden Dragon's ears, it was like a bolt from the blue. He was so scared that he trembled and almost fell to the ground. Chapter 1585. The Golden Dragon looked at Tang Zheng in a daze, as if he was listening to a fantasy story. He asked in disbelief, "Is there really an advanced version of the Dragon God secret art?" Tang Zheng looked at him and nodded heavily, "Of course. Moreover, I have already cultivated it. After my personal experience, this advanced version will make a qualitative leap in my cultivation." "What kind of leap?" the Golden Dragon asked curiously. Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to answer. Instead, he stretched out his hand and with a flash of golden light, a 9-clawed little golden dragon appeared in his palm. The Golden Dragon exclaimed as he stared straight at the little golden dragon. Then he looked up at Tang Zheng and asked, "Is this the golden dragon in your dragon seal?" Tang Zheng nodded gently. "How is this possible?" the Golden Dragon exclaimed again, his face full of disbelief. He blurted out, "How can the golden dragon in the dragon seal leave your body?" The Dragon Clan's dragon seal always had a golden dragon, but that golden dragon could not leave the body at all. Just like Tang Zheng, it could only lie quietly in his palm. "Look a little more carefully." Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to explain. Instead he pointed out. The Golden Dragon suppressed his surprise and locked his eyes on the 9-clawed little golden dragon. Suddenly, his pupils shrank and his mouth opened wide. He pointed at the 9-clawed little golden dragon's head and sucked in a breath of cold air. "How can this be? How can there be dragon horns on its head?" Tang Zheng smiled slightly. He deliberately let the golden dragon look at the dragon horns. After all, the dragon horns were too special. He couldn't explain why, so he naturally wanted to get an answer from the golden dragon's mouth. "You also know dragon horns?" The golden dragon nodded resentfully, "Of course I know. Once the Dragon Clan grows dragon horns, their strength will increase by leaps and bounds. The Dragon Clan with dragon horns is an absolute powerhouse." Tang Jing nodded thoughtfully and asked, "How can I cultivate dragon horns?" The golden dragon looked at him in disbelief as if to say, "Didn't you already cultivate dragon horns? Why are you asking me this question?" Suddenly he had an idea and asked, "Could it be that dragon horns are related to the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art?" Tang Zheng's expression was dignified as he said calmly, "Golden dragon, it was an accident that I grew dragon horns. I don't know the specific reason." Since the golden dragon did not know the inside story, he stopped the topic and changed the topic. "But the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art can make the golden dragon seal leave its body. You know what this means, right?" "This means that my combat strength," the golden dragon muttered. "Smart Tang Zheng Yuaning, dragon 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 dragon, dragon dragon, secret art, dragon. To dragon 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 art dragon 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 art form dragon." The dragon race was indeed a powerful race. They actually had such divine abilities. No wonder they could be so high and mighty. The other races couldn't compete with them. The golden dragon's eyes gradually revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He had already understood and could not wait to ask, "Are you saying that once I cultivate the advanced version of the dragon god technique, the dragon clan will have double the strength?" "It's possible. It's not that there will be such a result." Tang Zheng corrected him and pointed to his 9-clawed little golden dragon, saying, "It's still very weak right now. It needs time to reach a higher realm in the dragon god's secret art before it can truly display its power." Even so, the golden dragon was completely shocked by this news. He stared blankly at the 9-clawed little golden dragon and couldn't help but reveal a look of envy. If he could also cultivate the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art, wouldn't his strength also increase by leaps and bounds? Tang Jing smiled as if he had seen through his thoughts. He pointed his finger at the golden dragon and a beam of golden light shot out from his fingertip. The golden light silently disappeared from the golden dragon's forehead. It was as if he was struck by lightning as his eyes became sluggish. After a few seconds, ecstasy filled his face. Advanced version of the dragon god's secret art. He opened his mouth wide and cried out in surprise, unable to close it again. Tang Jing actually directly passed this divine ability to him. He roughly skimmed through it and saw the true appearance. Only then did he understand the power of the advanced version. This could completely overturn the Dragon Clan's current weak position. Once the Dragon Clan cultivated the advanced version, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds. In the future, defeating the Dragon Slayer would not be a pipe dream. The others were confused when they heard this. They didn't quite understand the Golden Dragon's feelings, so they all opened their eyes wide and looked at Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon. Tang Zheng looked at the Golden Dragon with a smile, waiting for him to digest all of this. After a long time, he seemed to have really digested it, but he looked at Tang Zheng with an even more complicated expression and said, "Master, you're too good to me. This is what I should do. Back then you submitted to me, so I will naturally be responsible for you to the end." Tang Zheng said calmly. The Golden Dragon was extremely happy. Fortunately, Tang Zheng used strong methods to force him to submit. He was unwilling and wanted to resist. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and didn't know how lucky he was. Thousands of words were stuck in the Golden Dragon's chest, and he was unable to speak for a long time. The advanced version of the Dragon God technique has a total of 9 levels, which are 9 new levels added to the original foundation. Although you haven't cultivated the basic version of the Dragon God technique to the peak, once you have the advanced version, both sides will strengthen each other. I believe that it won't be long before you cultivate the basic version of the Dragon God technique to the peak. Then you can cultivate the advanced version. Tang Jing introduced. The Golden Dragon nodded heavily. Of course he understood all of this. When he browsed through the advanced version, he already had a deeper understanding of the basic version. He looked at Tang Jing curiously and asked, "Master, what realm have you cultivated to?" "The first level of the advanced version," Tang Jing said lightly. It took him 2 days to finally break through to this realm after coming out of the Langya Pavilion. This was already a rocket-like speed. The Golden Dragon was dumbfounded and his jaw almost fell to the ground. Back then he was the one who taught the Dragon God technique to Tang Jing. He didn't expect that the latter would catch up and soar all the way, leaving him far behind. He was not envious, jealous, or resentful. He was sincerely convinced. Fang Shishir and the others were confused. They finally understood that Tang Zheng had a new harvest. They were all overjoyed and looked at him happily. Tang Zheng's mood was not as relaxed. Although his strength had increased, the pressure had also increased. In particular, the news about the Dragon Slayer was like a huge rock that pressed heavily on his heart. However, he did not immediately show it to avoid worrying the others. The family was happy and harmonious, and they did not notice Tang Jing's abnormality at all. Only the Golden Dragon looked at Tang Jing deeply and seemed to be deep in thought. As the sun set, Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon found a secluded corner where no one was around. "Master, is there anything else?" the Golden Dragon asked with a heavy heart. "Golden Dragon, let's talk about your harvest first." Tang Jing was not in a hurry to say. Instead he asked, "You went to look for the Dragon Clan's base camp and the Dragon King. Did you find them?" Chapter 1586. The Golden Dragon said tirelessly, "I left this world and used the special senses of the dragon race. After going through many places, I finally found the base camp of the dragon race." The dragon race was born to be able to travel through space, especially when there was a special connection between the dragon race as a guide. This kind of travel was especially easy. The Golden Dragon was not very proficient in the laws of space, but he still used this method to successfully travel through space. After a few twists and turns, he finally found the base camp of the dragon race. Hearing this, Tang Jing raised his eyebrows, unable to hide his surprise, and urged, "What kind of world is the base camp of the dragon race?" The Golden Dragon's eyes became dim, he shook his head and said, "It's far from what I expected." "What do you mean?" Tang Jing was very curious. The Golden Dragon let out a long sigh and said, "After experiencing the pursuit of the dragon slayers everywhere, the dragon race has long been scattered in various worlds, and I was really lucky to find the dragon race's base camp. However, the base camp has also moved through many worlds, and it no longer has the glory of the dragon race. As for its overall strength, it has long been lost." Tang Jing's eyes darkened with disappointment. The dragon race had actually declined to such a state, he never would have thought. The threat and influence of the dragon slayers on the dragon race was too great. "Then did you see the Dragon King?" Tang Jing asked. The Golden Dragon stammered, "I did see him, but I didn't say much to the Dragon King." "A what?" Tang Jing was puzzled. The Golden Dragon said resentfully, "I told the Dragon King about the situation of this world, especially about the Dragon Slayers, but the Dragon King and the other dragons did not believe me. They did not think that we could kill the Dragon Slayers and thought that I was lying. My saliva was dry and my lips were sore, but no dragon race believed me." This experience made the Golden Dragon very angry. His clansmen actually did not believe him, which deeply hurt him. This was clearly because they did not believe in his strength, and did not think that he could kill the Dragon Slayers. As for the matter about Tang Jing that the Golden Dragon had told him, it was even dismissed as a fantasy by the dragon race. They thought that he had made it up and did not believe him at all. Tang Jing didn't expect this to happen either. He asked curiously, "Why are the dragons so short-sighted?" Even his own clansmen didn't believe it. What happened after that? "Later, when I saw that no one believed me, I was worried that Master would be anxious, so I came back alone. Anyway, they won't care whether I leave or not." The Golden Dragon was very disappointed. He thought that he had found his clansmen, which was equivalent to returning to the embrace of his clansmen. He didn't expect that he would be more valued by Tang Jing. Tang Jing pondered for a long time before shaking his head. The decline of the dragon race was not without reason. The sun was already setting, yet they still did not believe in their own race. What kind of unity was this? Perhaps there were many conflicts within the dragon clan, and they could not unite to fight against the dragon slayers. "Golden Dragon, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but I haven't had the right opportunity. Now I've decided to tell you everything," Tang Jing said after some consideration. The Golden Dragon was immediately attracted. He looked at Tang Jing in surprise, not knowing what else he was hiding from him. "Have you never thought about what the foggy world outside Langya Pavilion is? I know you've always been thinking about the Dragon Clan's ban and didn't dare to explore it. But there was one time when I couldn't hold back my curiosity and entered that foggy world." Hearing Tang Jing's words, the Golden Dragon jumped up and shouted, "What? You actually went there? How could you go there?" But just as he finished speaking, he stopped and said embarrassedly, "Master, I'm not blaming you. It's just that this is a ban passed down from generation to generation in the Dragon Clan, so—" Tang Jing waved his hand, understanding his thoughts, and said, "I understand what you mean. But I cultivated the Dragon God technique halfway, so I don't have as many restrictions in my heart as the other dragons. So, I went to explore out of curiosity and this made me a huge discovery." Tang Jing told him about the inverted Langya Pavilion and those dragon souls. The golden dragon's reaction was very wonderful. First he was shocked, then he became numb. Like a wooden person he looked at Tang Zheng without moving. He was already dizzy from the heavy news one after another, and his brain lost the ability to think. The inverted Langya Pavilion, the Dragon Clan's graveyard, the Dragon Souls, and that Dragon Clan elder, each and every one of these news completely overturned the Golden Dragon's understanding. It turned out that the Dragon Clan's adherence to the ban for generations was actually wrong. Not a single dragon dared to break the old rules and discover the true secret. He couldn't help but look at Tang Zheng enviously. He thought to himself that the heavens had blessed him and allowed his master to discover this by chance. Otherwise, the Dragon Clan would continue to be kept in the dark. The Golden Dragon didn't sigh for too long because Tang Zheng's next words once again attracted all his attention, causing his heart to fiercely clench. The Dragon Slayer had actually appeared in the Dragon Seal world. This was the Dragon Clan's final secret, but it was still discovered by the Dragon Slayer. Once they absorbed those dragon souls, the Golden Dragon was very clear about what would happen. He swallowed his saliva and looked at Tang Zheng eagerly, impatient to know the answer. Looking at his blazing eyes, Tang Zheng guessed his thoughts and hurriedly told the Golden Dragon about how he had eliminated the Dragon Slayer twice. The Golden Dragon patted his chest and heaved a sigh of relief with lingering fear. He looked at Tang Zheng gratefully and said, "Master, this is all thanks to you. Without you, the Dragon Clan would have really fallen into a state of eternal damnation. I'm now a member of the Dragon Clan, this is what I should do. But there's one thing you definitely won't guess, and that's the origin of the Dragon Slayer." Immediately, the Golden Dragon concentrated and raised his attention to 120%. He really didn't know the inside story about the origin of the Dragon Slayer. Naturally, he was very interested in this topic. But after that, his heart felt like it was on a roller coaster, rising and falling along with Tang Zheng's cadence. His face turned pale for a moment, then shocked for a moment, then ashamed for a moment. In short, he had lived for so many years, but he had never felt as complicated as this moment. After Tang Zheng finished speaking, he still hadn't come back to his senses. His gaze was sluggish as he stared blankly at the sunset that had already sunk below the horizon. "This is all history, you don't have to think too much about it." Tang Zheng patted his shoulder and comforted him. Chapter 1587. Tang Zheng could understand the Golden Dragon's feelings. After all, the Golden Dragon was a real dragon, and its feelings for the dragon race were naturally far deeper than Tang Zheng's. Now, the Golden Dragon discovered that his understanding of the dragon race had been turned upside down. The Dragon Slayer that he had always regarded as his mortal enemy was actually also a dragon, and a traitor of the dragon race who had killed the Dragon God. Dragon God. What a great title this was. But in the current dragon race, there were probably very few who knew about it. At least, an ordinary dragon like him definitely did not know about it. "Master, are you saying that you only knew about the advanced version of the Dragon God method after absorbing the Dragon God fragment? Doesn't that mean that there are many other unknown secrets in the other Dragon God fragments, and even divine abilities?" The Golden Dragon hesitated for a moment and said in shock. This possibility made his heart surge uncontrollably. Tang Zheng had also thought about this question, so he directly nodded and gave him a definite answer. "Your deduction is correct, that is indeed the case." "Then how can I obtain the other Dragon God fragments?" the Golden Dragon asked impatiently. Tang Zheng had never taken the Dragon God fragment for himself and regarded it as his own personal belongings, so he said straightforwardly, "Once your advanced version of the Dragon God method reaches the corresponding realm, you should be able to ascend to a higher floor, and there will definitely be other Dragon God fragments hidden above." The Golden Dragon's eyes immediately lit up, but immediately dimmed again. He shook his head and said, "The Dragon God's fragment is a fragment of the Dragon Clan's ancestor. How can we, the descendants, blaspheme the Dragon God's fragment? It's even more impossible for us to have the thought of taking the Dragon God's fragment for ourselves. That's completely disrespectful to the Dragon God." Tang Zheng looked at the Golden Dragon in approval. If it wasn't for a coincidence, he definitely wouldn't have taken the initiative to absorb the Dragon God's fragments. He, a halfway dragon, was already so respectful, let alone the other dragon clans. The Golden Dragon's reaction was within his expectations. "You're right. In order to protect these Dragon God fragments, we still have a lot of work to do. First, we have to surround and intercept the Dragon Slayer and not let them have the chance to enter again. Even if they enter, we have to have a way to snipe them," Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. The golden dragon nodded in agreement and said, "I'll listen to Master, but what should we do next?" Tang Jing knew that the situation was very dangerous and he had to race against time. After all, he could not predict when the Dragon Slayer would enter the Langya Pavilion again. Since he had been ejected from the Langya Pavilion, he would not be able to enter again for a period of time. Even if he sensed that the Dragon Slayer had entered the Langya Pavilion in the future, he would not be able to stop him. As for the Golden Dragon, he alone was no match for the Dragon Slayer. Therefore they needed to find more helpers. Even if the Dragon Slayers launched a large-scale attack, they could gather their strength and have the power to fight back. Since you've already found the Dragon Clan's base camp and the Dragon King, then we have to go and meet them. Gather the power of all the Dragon Clan and use this opportunity to stop the Dragon Slayer, and even make a beautiful comeback. Tang Jing waved his fist a few times and said excitedly. The Golden Dragon's eyes lit up and it said excitedly, "Master's words make sense. I had no proof and the Dragon King did not believe me. But after he saw Master, he knew that everything I said was true." Tang Jing thought for a while and nodded in agreement, admitting that the Golden Dragon's words made sense. "There's no time to lose, then we'll go to the Dragon Clan's base camp immediately," Tang Jing said impatiently. This was the most urgent matter and it could not be delayed. This time, Tang Jing did not tell the truth in order to prevent others from worrying. He only gave some instructions to his family and then left with the Golden Dragon. Above the 9 heavens, where the spatial restriction was the weakest, Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon stood in the air, and a strong wind blew, messing up their clothes. Tang Jing took a deep breath and nodded at the Golden Dragon with a serious expression, saying, "Let's begin." The Golden Dragon's body shone with golden light, and with a shake of his body, he transformed into a true dragon. The golden light emitted from his body dyed half the sky golden. Fortunately, they were too far away from the ground, otherwise the people on the ground would definitely see this scene. The Golden Dragon clawed at the void, and with a crackling sound, the air was torn apart, trembling violently as if the sky was about to collapse. The air violently shook and cracks slowly appeared in the sky. Tang Jing watched this scene without saying a word. He was well versed in the mysteries of crossing space, so he could see at a glance that the Golden Dragon's ability to cross space was inferior to his. If it weren't for the Dragon Clan's special senses, he definitely would not have been able to cross space so easily. A black spatial door gradually opened in front of him, and a gust of wind poured into the spatial door from all directions. The Golden Dragon stopped, turned its head to look at Tang Jing and said respectfully, "Master, the spatial door has been opened, please enter." Tang Jing stepped in with large strides, and the Golden Dragon's figure flashed, disappearing behind the door. In the next second, the spatial door completely closed and the sky returned to normal. Because of the difference in cultivation, the Golden Dragon's control of spatial principles was not as good as Tang Jing's, so it was naturally unable to control the spatial door with ease. Tang Jing calmly followed the Golden Dragon's footsteps, quietly arriving at a place where another spatial door appeared in front of them. This time, the Golden Dragon took the lead to step out, deeply afraid that there would be some danger outside that would harm Tang Jing. Tang Jing followed the Golden Dragon's footsteps and also stepped out of the spatial door, ignoring the spatial door quietly closing behind him. He was completely shocked by the scene in front of him. What kind of world was this? This was a world of water, and as far as the eye could see, it was all water and there was almost no end in sight. He was sure that no ocean he had ever seen could compare to what was in front of him. It was really too big and he even thought that there was no land in this world. "Master, welcome to the Dragon Clan's headquarters, the Dragon Realm." The Golden Dragon returned to its human form again, reaching out to grasp the world in front of it, and explained with a smile. "Dragon Realm." Tang Jing subconsciously repeated it, unable to hide his astonishment. He raised his eyes and looked around, looking into the distance, and was even more deeply shocked. After a long time, he could not help but sigh with emotion. The Dragon Clan is truly a powerful race. A proud expression appeared on the Golden Dragon's face and it said, "Master is also a member of the Dragon Clan, so this is our shared pride." A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Tang Jing truly understood the essence of this sentence. The Dragon Clan had declined compared to before, but it was still beyond the reach of many other clans, especially the human world. Although their technology was advanced, they still had no chance of winning against the Dragon Clan. Suddenly, a golden light flickered on the horizon and flew towards them. Chapter 1588. The monstrous wave arrived in the blink of an eye, and the violent wind made it hard for people to open their eyes. Tang Jing calmly looked at the incoming wave as if he didn't care at all. He could summon clouds and summon rain, so he naturally wasn't afraid of this so-called wave. Rumble. The sound of the wave was deafening, as if it was going to scare people out of their wits. The golden dragon hurriedly stepped forward, but Tang Jing was faster than him, his finger gently pointing at the wave. Crash. The huge wave came to an abrupt stop, frozen in midair. After a few seconds, it fell back into the sea like a heavy downpour. Then, a golden light appeared from behind the huge wave, and a golden dragon flickered with golden light. It was majestic, as if it was looking down on the world, shaking its head and wagging its tail, looking down at Tang Jing from above. How dare you? Tell me your name. Who is it that dares to trespass into the dragon domain? The other party shouted in a stern voice. Tang Jing was in human form, and he had deliberately restrained his dragon aura, so the other party couldn't tell that he was also a dragon. This time there was no need for Tang Jing to respond. The golden dragon had already rushed out and stood in front of Tang Jing to protect him. Although he was also in human form, his entire body was emitting a strong dragon aura, so the other party could tell at a glance that he was of the same kind. You're not allowed to speak to my master with such an attitude. The golden dragon retorted unhappily. Master? The other party was obviously stunned for a moment, then he stretched out his golden dragon claw and pointed at the golden dragon, saying, You actually called him master? The dragon race has always been high and mighty. How can you recognize someone as your master? Do you still remember your identity as a dragon? The last time the golden dragon came to the dragon domain, he didn't mention that he recognized Tang Jing as his master. Moreover, the number of dragons he had seen was very limited, and he had never met this one before, so he naturally didn't know him. However, the golden dragon still said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, This is my business, you don't need to say anything. How dare you? You dare to quibble after doing such a thing that is against the divine might of the dragon clan? How dare you talk to me with such an attitude? I'll take you down first and ask the Dragon King to punish you. The other party scolded loudly and aggressively. He swung his dragon tail and swept it towards the golden dragon. Looking at this scene, Tang Jing frowned. He came to the dragon domain for an important matter, but this stupid dragon did not ask for the truth and started a fight. It was really out of his expectations. Moreover, the golden dragon had recognized him as its master, so it was time for him to take action. He took a step forward. It seemed like a small step, but he had already blocked the golden dragon behind him to prevent it from being injured by his opponent. Master. The golden dragon cried out anxiously. At this time, it should share the burden of its master. How could it let its master take the risk and do it himself? However, Tang Jing decided to end the battle. He did not give the golden dragon a chance to fight. He reached out his hand and grabbed the dragon tail that was sweeping toward him. Tang Jing's eyes were firmly locked onto the dragon's tail. His palms suddenly transformed and emitted a golden light. Bang! With a loud sound, the dragon's tail fell into Tang Jing's palm and he caught it firmly. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded through the heavens and earth, as if it was about to set off a huge wave. Tang Jing looked at the other side calmly and said, We haven't even spoken a few words, and you want to catch the golden dragon and denounce him. Ha, you think too much of yourself. Who are you? How dare you come to the dragon domain and behave so atrociously? Aren't you afraid of death? The other side had not yet realized the situation he was in and scolded relentlessly. Behave atrociously? Your words are really good. I think you're the one who's behaving atrociously. We didn't do anything but you attacked. Are all dragons so arrogant? If that's the case, why have you been hunted down by the dragon slayers all these years? Tang Jing asked jokingly, not putting the other side in his eyes at all. The golden dragon's throat moved. It wanted to explain but gave up in the end. The dragon slayers were an absolute taboo to the dragon race. If Tang Jing said it so bluntly, the other side would definitely not let it go and would be thoroughly enraged. As expected, after hearing the 3 words dragon slayers, the other side was completely enraged. He kept struggling, but it was as if Tang Jing's hand had a magical power. He could not break free at all. You're in cahoots with the dragon slayers? You came to the dragon domain on the orders of the dragon slayers. Must be so? How dare you? And you, as a member of the dragon race, you're actually in cahoots with the dragon slayers. You traitor of the dragon race, none of you should even think about leaving the dragon domain. The other side chattered on and on, minding his own business and shouting. Then he looked up to the sky and let out a dragon's roar. The sound shook the surroundings and was even louder than before, spreading in all directions. Tang Zheng's brows trembled. He heard some clues from the dragon's roar and said directly, "Are you informing the dragon race?" Even if you didn't inform them, I would still go find them. Then let's go together." At this time the golden dragon could not stop him. He could only follow behind Tang Zheng and fly into the distance. The dragon that was baring his fangs and brandishing his claws seemed to have completely given up struggling. He allowed Tang Zheng to grab him and fly into the distance. The two sides were one big and one small. The contrast between their bodies was obvious, but their auras were worlds apart. In front of Tang Zheng he was like a powerless baby facing an adult. They did not fly for too long before a golden light flashed on the horizon. This time it was not a single golden light, but a large golden light. It completely dyed the sky and the sea golden. It was a spectacular sight. The main force is here. Tang Zheng simply stopped and watched the golden light fly over. Gradually Tang Zheng could see the real scene under the golden light. It was actually dozens of dragons. Their huge bodies occupied half of the sky, and their auras were terrifying. "Master, I'll do it." The golden dragon stepped forward and rushed to the front. Tang Zheng did not object. Since it was the main force of the dragon race, there was naturally no need to fight head-on. He did not come to the dragon realm to fight and kill. With so many dragons there must be some who knew the golden dragon. When the time came to explain clearly, all the misunderstandings would be resolved. "You're dead." Tang Zheng felt the strength of the struggle in his hand increase again. He looked down and happened to look at the dragon in his hand. He heard the other party say so with murderous intent. Tang Zheng did not mind and said with a smile, "Whether you live or die is not up to you. Let's wait and see." The other party snorted coldly with a "you're dead" expression. He looked at the main force of the dragon race with a burning gaze. He wanted to break free from Tang Zheng's hand. Otherwise, if he was seen by his fellow dragons, wouldn't he lose face? However, this hope did not come true. He could only helplessly accept reality and be firmly held by Tang Zheng. He then watched as the main force of the dragon race flew in front of him. The golden dragon flew out impatiently and blocked in front of the dragons, saying, "This is all a misunderstanding. Everyone please calm down." Chapter 1589. Many pairs of eyes stared at the golden dragon in unison. Their gazes were quite unfriendly, but it was obvious that some dragons had recognized him and asked suspiciously, "It's you?" The golden dragon let out a sigh of relief and hurriedly nodded, "It's me. We're all dragons. There's no need to fight. This is all a misunderstanding." After saying that, the golden dragon squeezed out a kind smile. D7% CF% D3% C4% B8% F 3-inch nonsense. Then is he a dragon? You brought an outsider to the dragon field. What are your intentions? Someone directly pointed at Tang Zheng and said, "He's also a dragon." The golden dragon looked deeply at Tang Zheng. Seeing him nod slightly, he immediately pointed out Tang Zheng's identity. "He's a dragon? Ah." As soon as this was said, there was a burst of laughter. All the dragons looked at Tang Zheng with ridicule and laughed. "Everyone look at him. Which part of him looks like a dragon? If he's a dragon, then what are we? Aha, you don't even know how to make up a reliable lie. This kind of lie can be seen through at a glance. Don't make a fool of yourself. Master is really a dragon." The golden dragon hurriedly explained. "Master?" The dragons were shocked and grasped this key point. They all looked at the golden dragon in shock and anger. The golden dragon knew that he had misspoken. This sentence was likely to ignite another explosive barrel. If he was not careful, it would be another chaotic battle. "You said that I'm not a dragon, right?" Tang Zheng saw that the golden dragon and these dragons could not be explained clearly. The dragons were immersed in their own wishful thinking, so he walked forward and asked indifferently. The dragon nodded and looked at him covetously. "Of course you're not a dragon. You're clearly a human. Can't we see that?" "Is that so?" Tang Zheng's lips curled into a smile. "Then what is this?" As soon as he finished speaking, his entire body bloomed with golden light. With a shake of his body, he transformed into a huge dragon and hovered in the air. The dragon captive finally found a chance to escape. He staggered back, but as soon as he looked up, he stared blankly at the scene in front of him and could no longer move. All of the other dragon tribe cultivators were also dumbstruck as they stared at this scene. Tang Zheng looked down from above, soaring in the air, his 9 dragon claws baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, full of vigor. His huge dragon eyes stared straight at them, and that terrifying dragon might seem to press down on the hearts of every dragon. A dragon's roar shook the heavens, and the hearts of the dragons trembled. Some of them trembled in fear and hurriedly retreated. Am I not a dragon? Tang Zheng's voice sounded again, but it was completely different from before. It carried a strong dragon's might, and it was insufferably arrogant and lofty. The dragon clan was completely stunned. No one answered. This was a genuine dragon clan. How could any dragon clan member dare to deny it? Everyone look at his head. A dragon clan cried out in alarm as he pointed at Tang Zheng's forehead in shock. Dragon horn! Exclamations sounded again. All of the dragon clan members saw the sharp dragon horn. Although it was very short, it was very shocking. Immediately, the dragon clan members who were disrespectful to Tang Zheng lowered their heads. As for the golden dragon recognizing Tang Zheng as its master, everyone thought that it was normal. Dragons with dragon horns had an extremely high status in the dragon clan. It was a very honorable thing to recognize him as its master. Tang Zheng showed off for a moment, completely intimidating the dragon clan. Seeing that they no longer had the intention to fight, his heart was as calm as an ancient well. He did not want to be entangled with these dragon clan members, so he revealed his dragon form. Take me to see the dragon king. Tang Zheng ordered majestically. The dragon clan members looked at each other, and in the end no one dared to refute. They obediently led the way for Tang Zheng and the golden dragon and flew forward. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng enviously. As expected of its master, he directly intimidated all the dragon clan members as soon as he made a move. It did not have such awe-inspiring power. Its saliva was dry, but there was no effect at all. The golden dragon had been away from the dragon clan for too long. It did not know how important a dragon clan member with dragon horns was, so it did not understand the reaction of the other dragon clan members. There were 8 dragon envoys and 1 dragon king in the dragon clan. These 9 were at the top of the power pyramid of the dragon clan, and they all had one thing in common, which was that they had dragon horns. This was a distinctive feature that distinguished them from the other dragon clan members. That was why the dragon clan members had such a big reaction when they saw the dragon horns. A new dragon clan member with dragon horns had arrived in the dragon realm. This news would definitely spread like wildfire throughout the dragon realm. The dragon clan members flew to an area and stopped. A golden light rose from the water below and occupied half of the sky. The golden dragon carefully explained, "Master, the dragon palace is below." Tang Zheng nodded secretly. So the dragon palace was underwater. It seemed that the dragon clan members had the same habit of living underwater. The dragon palace in the South Sea was like this. Boom. All the dragon clan members shook their heads and waved their tails as they rushed toward the water. Tang Zheng did not want to be left behind. He entered the water with the golden dragon. Water was like air to the dragon clan. The surrounding water surged toward Tang Zheng, giving him a warm and intimate feeling. The water was very deep. They swam at an extremely fast speed for a long time, but they still could not see the bottom. However, the golden light that soared into the sky became more and more intense. It was like a beacon that was guiding them home. Suddenly, Tang Zheng's dragon eyes shrank. He looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Although he had seen the dragon palace before, compared to the scene in front of him, the dragon palace in the South Sea was like a thatched cottage. It was not worth mentioning at all. What he saw was not just a dragon palace but a city. It was bigger and more magnificent than any human city. Looking at it, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to be deeply shocked. He was impressed by the beautiful buildings. The golden dragon seemed to have guessed Tang Zheng's thoughts and said proudly, "Master, this is the core of the dragon domain, the home of the dragon clan. All the dragon clan members live in this area. Look at the tallest building in the center. That is the dragon palace." Tang Zheng quickly looked over. Sure enough, there was a tall building in the center of the area. It was far taller than the buildings in other places. A mighty dragon head stood at the top of the building. The dragon head looked up to the sky and seemed to be letting out a dragon's roar. It was indescribably awe-inspiring and shook one's soul. A huge light screen covered the city, isolating them from the water. When they approached, the majestic aura of the dragon palace hit them in the face, shocking their soul. Before they even got close, several teams of patrolling dragon clan members discovered them. However, without exception, they were all deeply attracted by Tang Zheng's dragon horn. Pairs of eyes stared straight at the dragon horn. Their eyes were filled with complex emotions. The golden dragon felt as if it had grown a dragon horn. It felt proud and elated. Compared to the last time when it came back silently, it felt too good this time. Tang Jing was very calm. He carefully looked at the city and the Dragon Palace. Chapter 1590. The dragons landed on the vast square in front of the Dragon Palace. This square could be described as vast. It was really too big. Tang Jing had never seen such a big square. There were many dragons walking on the square. Some were dragons, some were humans, and all of them were exuding dragon might. Tang Jing stood on the plaza and couldn't help but look around. The other dragon claness also looked at him, and when they saw the dragon horn on his head, they all revealed expressions of shock. They stopped in their tracks and stared at him without blinking. There were already sounds of discussion in the dragon clan, and they were pointing at each other. Tang Jing didn't seem to see it. His gaze swept past the dragons and looked toward the Dragon Palace. Standing on the ground, he could feel the majestic aura of the Dragon Palace. It made people involuntarily have the urge to kowtow. The gate of the Dragon Palace was very large. On both sides stood dragon guards with weapons in their hands. They were awe-inspiring and directly blocked their path. Some dragons came forward to negotiate. Only then were they let go. When Tang Jing walked through the gate, he could clearly feel the vigilance and curiosity in the eyes of the dragon guards. When the other dragons saw that Tang Jing was actually indifferent, as if he had come to an ordinary place, they were all surprised and clicked their tongues in wonder. Immediately, they were also filled with a strong curiosity about Tang Jing's background. Passing through layers upon layers of magnificent palaces, Tang Jing enjoyed the feeling of being the center of attention along the way. Finally, they arrived at the core of the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Palace. The dragon head that roared at the sky stood at the top of the Dragon Palace, making the Dragon Palace even more majestic and inviolable. The guards of the Dragon Palace were very strict, but it seemed that they had already received information that they would come, so they were not stopped at all. Under the eyes of the two groups of majestic dragon guards, Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon walked into the Dragon Palace, while most of the other dragon claness were blocked outside the Dragon Palace. Only the dragon claness that first discovered Tang Jing were allowed to enter together. After stepping into the Dragon Palace, Tang Jing could clearly feel that the aura around him had undergone an earth-shattering change. The terrifying dragon might was everywhere, converging from all directions, giving him a huge pressure that fiercely enveloped his body. He took a deep breath and circulated the dragon god art, dispelling the dragon might. This way he wouldn't show any fear in front of others or act strangely. The Dragon Palace Hall was the core of the dragon domain's power. The high dome was richly ornamented and painted. It was extremely beautiful and magnificent. Moreover, it was mainly golden in color. It was a dazzling sight. Tang Jing's attention was first attracted by the 8 dragons on both sides. They were all in human form and sat on exquisite thrones. They were high and mighty as if they were looking down on all living things. When Tang Jing walked in, 8 pairs of eyes shot over in unison and focused on him. Their sharp gazes seemed to be able to pierce through his body and mind, completely seeing through him. Tang Jing's heart trembled. He guessed that they must be the 8 dragon envoys that the Golden Dragon had mentioned earlier. No wonder they could become dragon envoys. Just their auras alone were enough to suppress the other dragons, giving people a feeling that they couldn't be ignored. Furthermore, when the 8 of them pressed down together, their terrifying dragon might could make the other dragons not dare to have the slightest thought of resisting. Facing all this, the Golden Dragon had already lowered his head, not daring to face the 8 dragon envoys. Only Tang Jing was not afraid in the slightest. He openly met their gazes, looked at them, and also carefully sized them up. The dragon envoys all revealed expressions of shock. He actually dared to be so bold. This was a complete provocation. How dare you? Where did you come from? Why aren't you kneeling down when you see the dragon envoys? A dragon envoy roared and berated with a stern expression. Tang Jing frowned slightly. The dragons were really used to being high and mighty. Even in front of their own kind, they seemed to like to play with their own status. Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon stood still. The Golden Dragon had only been to the Dragon Palace once before. He deeply felt the majesty of the Dragon Palace and didn't dare to act rashly. Last time, all the dragon envoys and the Dragon King denied his words, thinking that it was a fantasy. He was very hurt and couldn't help but worry about Tang Jing. However, seeing how calm Tang Jing was, he swallowed all his words back into his stomach. Do dragons like to kneel? You actually have to kneel when you see your own kind. This etiquette is really thoughtful. Tang Jing curled the corner of his mouth and said mockingly, without a hint of sarcasm. Looking at this person, many dragons gasped. He actually dared to talk back to the dragon envoys, and all 8 of them at that. This was really audacious. The 8 dragon envoys were stunned for a moment. Almost at the same time, they were furious and berated. How dare you speak so rudely in the dragon palace? You have no manners at all. Whose descendant are you? This is none of your business. I'm here to look for the Dragon King. I have something important to discuss with him. I don't want to waste time on other things. So, quickly ask the Dragon King to come out. Don't keep us in suspense. Tang Zheng was worried that the Dragon Slayer would arrive at Langya Pavilion at any time. Time waits for no man, so he said it directly. However, his words were like a bolt from the blue. Everyone looked at him in disbelief. He actually wanted to see the Dragon King. Did he really think that anyone could meet the Dragon King? Lord Dragon Envoy, Master really has something important to discuss with the Dragon King. Please make an exception. The Golden Dragon saw that the atmosphere wasn't harmonious and was afraid that something unexpected would happen, so he quickly explained. You don't have the right to speak here. I'll settle this with you later. The Dragon Envoy didn't even look at the Golden Dragon and said disdainfully. It was as if they didn't care about the Dragon Clan at all. The Dragon Clan had always been high and mighty, but within the Dragon Clan, there was a strict hierarchy. The other Dragon Clans would never dare to do what Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon did. Tang Zheng's frown deepened. He looked deeply at the 8 Dragon Envoys and couldn't help but sigh. The Dragon Clan's decline wasn't unrelated to him. At least, this kind of high and mighty attitude wasn't likable. Our mouths are on our bodies. How can we not have the right to speak? I really didn't expect that the Dragon Clan would become like this. They only know how to be arrogant. Actually, if you were really powerful, you could have gone to find the Dragon Slayer for revenge instead of coldly looking at your own fellow countrymen. How could Tang Zheng endure this kind of vexation, so he directly pushed back. These words angered the 8 Dragon Envoys even more. Some of the Dragon Envoys stood up as if they wanted to teach Tang Zheng a lesson. Tang Zheng wasn't afraid at all. He stood there proudly and looked directly at the Dragon Envoy. His stare made the Dragon Envoy feel guilty. I heard that you also have dragon horns. Is that true? The 2 sides were in a deadlock for a while before a Dragon Slayer broke the silence again. Obviously, this was one of their main concerns. As Dragon Envoys, they were the most mysterious existences in the Dragon Clan. They also had dragon horns, but the length was different. However, they were all very clear about the mysteriousness and power of dragon horns, so naturally, they were the first to ask this question. Of course I have dragon horns. I heard that you all have them too. Tang Zheng didn't back down and said lightly. How did you get your dragon horns? A Dragon Envoy asked curiously. They grew naturally when I was cultivating the Dragon God arts. Tang Zheng said honestly. He had already grown dragon horns before fusing with the Dragon God fragment. They grew naturally when you were cultivating the Dragon God arts? The Dragon Envoys were all shocked. They looked at each other and Tang Zheng in disbelief. What's wrong with that? Tang Zheng indifferently asked in return. Of course not. The Dragon Envoy was resolute and said angrily, please understand the situation before you brag. Otherwise, your bragging is going to reach the heavens. The Dragon God arts is a powerful ability, but it definitely won't let dragon horns grow. Chapter 1591. The other dragons also looked at Tang Zheng with ridicule. It wasn't like no one had cultivated the Dragon God arts before, it was just that all dragons had cultivated the Dragon God arts before. This was the foundation of all dragons' divine abilities, yet no one else had grown dragon horns. This was truly a fantasy. The Golden Dragon knew that Tang Zheng's talent was special. He had the 9-yang saint body and was a celestial. Perhaps this had something to do with his talent. As for what Tang Zheng said, there was not a single lie. He had indeed cultivated the Dragon God art, and then naturally grew dragon horns. Thus, he stepped forward and loudly said, I can testify. The other dragons all looked at him. The Dragon Envoy glanced at him with disdain and didn't place him in his eyes at all. He lightly said, your words are not trustworthy. You. The Golden Dragon wanted to retort, but facing the Dragon Envoy, his fear of heaven and earth made him stop. Tang Zheng took a step forward and closed the distance between him and the Dragon Envoy. He helped the Golden Dragon out of his predicament and said, I came to the Dragon Domain for the sake of the Dragon Clan's survival, not to waste my saliva with you. I never thought that the dragon race would fall to this level and only know how to argue amongst themselves. Could it be that when facing a dragon slayer, you think you can use your mouth to retreat? This retort could be said to be sharp and pointed at the most painful part of the dragon race's heart. The 8 dragon envoys all stood up and angrily said, "How dare you? I think you've been wandering outside for too long and have completely forgotten the rules of the dragon race. Then we'll teach you the rules." A dragon envoy strode down the stairs. They didn't order the other dragons to attack. After all, Tang Zheng had dragon horns and the dragon envoy knew how powerful they were. If the other dragons attacked, they might not win. The dragon envoy directly attacked to intimidate the other side and let him understand the dragon envoy's strength. It wasn't something the other dragons could contend against. "Master." The golden dragon saw this and became anxious. He tried to step forward but was blocked by Tang Zheng. "Don't worry, I'll do it." Tang Zheng gave the golden dragon a comforting look and walked over to the dragon envoy. When the two sides were only a few meters apart, the dragon envoy attacked first. Shwa! The sharp and domineering golden light appeared out of nowhere and surrounded Tang Zheng in an instant. It was as if the golden light had been there all along and Tang Zheng had walked right into it. Tang Zheng was unmoved. He continued to walk toward the dragon envoy. Whoosh! Whoosh! In such a short distance, the power of the golden light was extremely shocking. Many dragons gasped because it had been too long since they had seen the dragon envoy make a move. "I'm so lucky to have this opportunity today." Of course, they couldn't help but rejoice in his misfortune, thinking that this unknown dragon was going to suffer a great loss. After this lesson, he would understand what the rules of the dragon race were. Offending one's superiors was not a light crime. Tang Zheng's footsteps did not stop. He saw the golden light coming at him, but it seemed to be a step too slow. It actually did not catch up with him. The golden light missed and hit the void behind him. It exploded with a loud bang. Chi waves rolled, but it did not affect Tang Zheng in the slightest. At that moment, pairs of eyes seemed to be about to pop out of their sockets. Their jaws almost fell to the ground. What the hell, what was going on? How could this be? The dragon envoy was also shocked. He immediately regained his composure and prepared to launch the first round of attacks. However, just as the golden light flashed, Tang Zheng had already walked in front of him and grabbed him. Whoosh! The dragon envoy moved directly toward Tang Zheng. His feet drew a long trail on the ground. It was obvious that the dragon envoy was trying his best to resist, but he could not stop Tang Zheng. Bang! In the blink of an eye, the dragon envoy crashed into Tang Zheng's palm and was completely under his control. This scene shocked all the dragons. Cries of surprise rang out everywhere. Even the other dragon envoys could not remain calm. It had come too quickly and ended too quickly. Before anyone could react, the dust had settled. The dragon envoy had lost. It was a complete and clean defeat. Stop. The other dragon envoys felt the same way and shouted. Tang Zheng raised his eyes and looked at the 7 dragon envoys on the throne. He said mockingly, "Now you know to stop? Where did your aura go? Where did you come from, Dragon Clan?" The dragon envoy shouted. Tang Zheng snorted and did not comment. His gaze fell on the dragon envoy in his hand. The dragon envoy kept struggling. It was obvious that he did not want to admit defeat. His eyes bulged like copper bells as he glared fiercely at Tang Zheng. "You're finished. Offending your superiors is a serious crime in the Dragon Clan. No matter where you come from, you can forget about leaving the Dragon Palace." The dragon envoy threatened sternly. Tang Zheng did not care. He said, "You've already fallen into my hands and you still dare to be so arrogant. You're really arrogant. Since that's the case, let's see how long you can be arrogant for." Tang Zheng's fingers tightened. Crack, crack, crack. The dragon envoy's joints immediately cracked. His bones seemed to be on the verge of breaking. It was clear how terrifying the strength in his hand was. "Stop, stop quickly." The dragon envoy shouted, but Tang Zheng turned a deaf ear. The other Dragon Clan members trembled in fear. Their hearts trembled. This Dragon Clan member was truly audacious. The Golden Dragon had witnessed all the ups and downs that Tang Zheng had gone through, but he understood his style of doing things very well. The dragon envoy had been high and mighty from the very beginning and did not put him in his eyes, which was why he retaliated so sharply. If the dragon envoy had been kind from the start, perhaps things would not have developed to this point. Although he was also a Dragon Clan member, he stood firmly on Tang Zheng's side. He was fully alert, afraid that he would be flustered if they fought. Tang Zheng had no intention of stopping. In an instant, the dragon envoy did not even have the strength to shout for him to stop. He could only gasp for breath as if he had really reached his limit. Finally, he begged for mercy in a low voice. "Don't use too much strength, please let me go." The high and mighty dragon envoy was actually begging for mercy. This made the other dragon clan members' jaws drop. The other 7 dragon envoys felt as if they had been slapped in the face. They were burning with shame. "Shut up!" The other dragon envoys shouted loudly, stopping their companion from begging for mercy. "Don't even think about leaving the dragon palace today." The 7 dragon envoys were bristling with righteous indignation as they surrounded him. "Don't touch my master." The golden dragon did not hesitate. He stepped forward and stood beside Tang Zheng. His whole body glowed with golden light as his dragon might erupted. He looked at the dragon envoy ready to attack. Tang Zheng glanced at the golden dragon from the corner of his eye and smiled knowingly. The golden dragon looked at this smile and felt warmth in his heart. His expression became even more determined. This smile seemed to have given him great courage and confidence. His originally anxious heart also calmed down. He met the gazes of the dragon envoys. "Impudent, you're really lawless," the dragon envoy roared. The 7 dragon envoys flashed and surrounded Tang Zheng and the golden dragon. Chapter 1592. The 7 dragon envoys surrounded Tang Zheng and the golden dragon. The other dragons all retreated to give them space, afraid that they would be implicated. Sister-in-law Sokolal said, "Look at the most beautiful woman." However, Tang Zheng was extremely calm, the corner of his mouth hooked up into a smile and said, "Are we really going to fight? Before I came here I had thought of countless scenarios, but this was the only one I didn't think of. The dragon clan is really not the same as before. After the dragon god fell, the dragon clan actually became like this." Sigh. A long sigh, filled with indescribable complicated emotions. Tang Zheng's emotions were indeed very complicated. In fact, he could completely stay out of this matter and ignore the life and death of the dragon clan, as well as other matters like life and death. In any case, from the few interactions he had with the dragon slayers could not sense him like the other dragons. As long as he was fully prepared, it would be difficult for the dragon slayers to find him, which meant that he was much less dangerous than the other dragons. If not for the promise he made to the dragon clan's seniors, and because he had obtained many inheritances from the dragon clan, he would not meddle in other people's business. Especially when these dragon envoys had such an attitude, it was too disappointing. When the dragon envoys heard the 2 words, "dragon god," they did not have any reaction and were already prepared to attack. "Stop." Suddenly, a dignified voice sounded. With a flash of golden light, a figure appeared on the throne in the middle of the high platform. He had a long beard, thick eyebrows and big eyes. He looked very dignified. Most importantly, there were 2 horns on both sides of his forehead. Dragon horns. After he transformed into a human, there were dragon horns, and those dragon horns were even longer and bigger than Tang Zheng's. His identity was obvious: the Dragon King. When the Dragon King appeared, the other dragons all bowed and called out respectfully, "Dragon King." Even the golden dragon bowed slightly. It was obvious how powerful the Dragon King's dignity was. In the Dragon Palace, only 2 people did not bow. One was the dragon envoy who had lost his freedom and could not bow even if he wanted to. The other was Tang Zheng, who raised his head and looked at the Dragon King casually. He stared straight at the 2 dragon horns, his heart thumping as he thought to himself, "Amazing. No wonder he could become the Dragon King." Just these 2 dragon horns alone were enough to prove his cultivation and strength. The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng's arrogant attitude and frowned slightly, but he didn't probe further. Instead, he asked in a deep voice, "Did you just mention the dragon god?" The other dragons looked up in confusion and glanced at the Dragon King. They did not know what he meant. Dragon god? What was that? Why haven't I heard of it before? The Dragon Clan had only heard of the Dragon King, but had never heard of the Dragon God. Even the dragon envoys looked suspicious. They looked at each other and gently shook their heads, seeing the confusion in each other's eyes. Tang Zheng saw their reaction and combined it with the golden dragon's previous words. He suddenly realized that the Dragon God was related to the traitor of the dragon race, which was the core secret of the dragon race. Therefore, no one in the Dragon Clan knew about this except for the Dragon King. Even the high and mighty dragon envoy was kept in the dark about this. The Dragon Clan is really unscrupulous for their so-called honor. For so many years, they have completely kept the Dragon Clan in the dark. Tang Zheng sighed and looked directly at the Dragon King. He said indifferently, "Yes, I mentioned the Dragon God." After that, he looked at the Dragon King meaningfully. The Dragon King was very smart. He saw the hidden meaning in Tang Zheng's eyes and ordered the other dragons, "Stand down." The other dragons looked at the Dragon King in surprise, but no one dared to disobey the Dragon King's order. Even the dragon envoy had to step aside obediently. Tang Zheng also let go of his hand. The dragon envoy was freed and wanted to retaliate. However, after looking at the Dragon King, he had no choice but to swallow his anger and step aside unwillingly. Tang Zheng looked at the Dragon King and asked jokingly, "Do you want to fight too? How dare you speak to the Dragon King in such a tone?" The dragon envoy could not stand it anymore and scolded loudly with a dark face. The Dragon King waved his hand, indicating for the dragon envoy not to make a fuss. He walked towards Tang Zheng step by step and said in a low voice, "How did you know?" Tang Zheng smiled and said, "This is indeed a secret to the Dragon Clan. However, there is no such thing as an absolute secret in this world." Seeing that Tang Zheng wanted to continue, the Dragon King's expression turned cold. He waved his hand and ordered the other dragons, "All of you stand down." Dragon King. The dragon envoy looked at the Dragon King worriedly and did not move. The Dragon King looked around sternly and asked, "Do you want me to say it again?" No one dared to ask the Dragon King to say it again. Although they had many questions, they still walked out obediently. However, they kept glancing at Tang Zheng as if warning him not to act rashly in front of the Dragon King. "You also go out," the Dragon King said when he saw that the golden dragon did not move. The golden dragon's heart trembled. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by Tang Zheng. He said lightly, "He knows everything that I know. There is nothing to hide from him. He must stay." Tang Zheng was afraid that the dragon envoy would take revenge on the golden dragon after he left. After all, the golden dragon was not their match. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng gratefully and stopped in his tracks. The Dragon King frowned and looked at the golden dragon deeply. This was a scrutinizing gaze, very cautious. After a moment, the Dragon King turned his head, obviously agreeing to let the golden dragon stay. "You can talk about the dragon god now. How do you know about the dragon god? Who told you?" The Dragon King said in a deep voice. "It seems that my guess was right. In the entire dragon clan, I'm afraid that you are the only one who knows about the dragon god." Tang Zheng did not answer in a hurry. Instead, he said meaningfully, "This is the core secret of the dragon clan. Of course, only I, the Dragon King, know about it. Therefore I am very curious. Who told you this?" "The Dragon Slayer told me," Tang Zheng said lightly, but these words were like a bolt from the blue, causing the Dragon King's expression to change greatly. He cried out in surprise, "Dragon Slayer? How is that possible?" "Why is that impossible?" Tang Zheng asked back. The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief and said, "You saw the Dragon Slayer, so how can you still stand in front of me alive?" In the past, as long as the Dragon Clan was targeted by the Dragon Slayer, there was basically no chance of survival. That was why the Dragon King was so surprised. Moreover, there were not many Dragon Slayers who knew about the Dragon God. Those were the upper echelons of the Dragon Slayer, and their fighting strength was very strong. If Tang Zheng wanted to know about the Dragon God, he could only hear it from them. Then he should not be standing here unscathed. In fact, it was precisely because of this that the relationship between the Dragon God and the Dragon Slayer had been kept a secret. Even if the Dragon Slayer had mentioned this to the Dragon Clan, the Dragon Clan could not escape from the Dragon Slayer's evil hands. Naturally, this secret was kept. Seeing the Dragon King making such a fuss, Tang Zheng directly said, "I do admit that the Dragon Slayer is powerful, but it's definitely not as terrifying as you say. Otherwise, how could I kill so many Dragon Slayer?" "You killed a lot of Dragon Slayer?" the Dragon King shouted again. When the Dragon Clan outside heard the shout, they all wanted to rush in, but they did not dare to take half a step forward. The atmosphere in the Dragon Palace became strange. The way the Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng changed again and again. It was not that he had never killed a Dragon Slayer before, the other Dragon Clan had also killed a Dragon Slayer before, but that was many years ago. All these years, the Dragon Clan's headquarters had been hiding in the Dragon Domain and no longer had a direct confrontation with the Dragon Slayer. Only a few lone Dragon Clan fought with the Dragon Slayer, but without exception these Dragon Clan all died. But Tang Zheng had actually killed many Dragon Slayer. Chapter 1593. Wow. Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng's calm and composed manner and started to hesitate again. He didn't seem to be bragging. Combined with what he said, it seemed that he was most likely telling the truth. But how was that possible? Even with Dragon King's rich imagination, it was extremely difficult for him to imagine what was going on. Tang Zheng looked at Dragon King indifferently and ignored his reaction. He was the king of a race, why was he so afraid of the enemy? Did he have no confidence in his own race at all? It was as if he was scared out of his wits by the Dragon Slayer. Both parties fell into silence and the atmosphere became strange. After a long while, Dragon King spoke again and asked, "Although you have dragon horns, it is not easy to kill the Dragon Slayer. How did you kill them? Where did you kill them?" Obviously, Dragon King wanted to know more details. Tang Jing smiled faintly and said casually, "It took a lot of effort to kill the first one, but it was much easier to kill the rest in Langya Pavilion." Langya Pavilion. The Dragon King was shocked and his eyes widened. "You're lying. How can a dragon slayer reach the Langya Pavilion? That is a place that only the dragon race can reach. It is impossible for other races to reach." Dragon King became agitated. He thought to himself that he was almost fooled by this kid. He didn't expect him to give himself away so much. Any dragon who heard this would be able to expose his lies without any effort. Dragon King immediately raised his head high and looked down at Tang Jing with disdain. Tang Jing raised his head and looked at Dragon King mockingly. He didn't know where his confidence came from. He was the Dragon King. This was no longer pride and nobility, but arrogance and conceit. "You have never seen it before, so it is impossible?" Arbitrary. Tang Jing's simple retort made Dragon King's expression rich. His gaze darkened and became sharp and dignified. He said, "You have no proof. How can you prove it?" "I have no way to prove it. Perhaps you will know the next time the Dragon Slayer arrives at Langya Pavilion." Tang Jing paused for a moment, then shook his head and said, "No, even if the next Dragon Slayer comes to Langya Pavilion you won't know. Because you can't sense them at all, so naturally you can't see them." The Langya Pavilion was a very special place. Every member of the Dragon Clan could enter it without interfering with each other. In other words, even if every Dragon Clan member entered Langya Pavilion at the same time, they would not be able to see each other. The Langya Pavilion had a special function that could isolate the dragons within, allowing them to do as they pleased without being disturbed. Therefore, if Tang Jing hadn't obtained the mysterious inheritance of the Dragon Clan Senior, he wouldn't have been able to sense those dragon slayers and naturally wouldn't have been able to see them. Tang Jing's words greatly provoked the Dragon King, causing his expression to fluctuate. He snorted angrily and said, "The Langya Pavilion isolates every dragon clan. Even if the dragon slayers enter, they will be isolated from the other dragon clans. How can you see them? Therefore humph, a bunch of lies." Tang Jing shook his head and sighed. "Do you think I saw what you saw? Ridiculous. The Langya Pavilion can isolate the other dragons but not me. Do you understand?" The Dragon King's thick eyebrows twitched. He was skeptical. "Then how did you do it?" Tang Jing wasn't in a hurry to answer. He said, "I wonder if you've explored the place shrouded in fog outside the Langya Pavilion? The Dragon Clan has an ancestral rule. The descendants of the Dragon Clan must never set foot in that area." The Dragon King said righteously. Suddenly he realized something and stared sharply at Tang Jing. He asked in bewilderment, "Did you go to that area?" Tang Jing knew that he couldn't hide it anymore, so he simply admitted it openly. "Yes." The Dragon King's aura soared. He roared furiously, "How dare you do that? You're going against the Dragon Clan's ancestral rule. You're a sinner of the Dragon Clan." The Dragon King's reprimand was so heavy that the Golden Dragon's heart was in suspense. He looked at him worriedly and wanted to refute him. Tang Jing, on the other hand, was calm. He raised his eyelids and said, "You want to punish me with this? Haha, it's not certain who's the sinner of the Dragon Clan. Don't you want to know what's in that area?" The Dragon King's heart trembled. He blurted out, "What's there?" After saying that, he realized that he had been led by the nose by Tang Jing. He couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He was secretly angry, but he had to suppress his anger. The other Langya Pavilion is upside down. There are countless dead Dragon Clan members and their dragon souls buried in it. Tang Jing said concisely. "Dragon souls?" The Dragon King turned pale with fright. His expression was unprecedentedly rich. At the same time, many thoughts that had been in his mind for a long time surged out like a tide. As the Dragon King, he naturally knew more about the inside stories and secrets of the Dragon Clan than the other Dragon Clan members. One of them was the inside story of the Dragon Tomb. The Dragon Tomb had been destroyed by the Dragon Slayers, and many dragon souls had fallen into the hands of the Dragon Slayers. Most of the dragon race thought so, but the Dragon King knew one thing. This was what the previous Dragon King had unintentionally said, and that was that the Dragon Tomb might not have been completely destroyed by the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon Slayers had only destroyed a small part of the Dragon Tomb. This was a huge doubt, but there was no evidence to support it. Therefore the Dragon King only suspected it. Now that Tang Jing mentioned this, he immediately remembered. His mood became complicated. He hoped that what Tang Jing said was true, but he also hoped that it wasn't. After all, if what he said was true, then it was very likely that he killed the Dragon Slayer. Then his battle record would be well known even among the Dragon clan. The Dragon King didn't want to see this. Tang Jing ignored the Dragon King's complicated feelings. He nodded lightly and continued, "Not only are there dragon souls, but there are also fragments of the Dragon God. They are the fragments of the Dragon God's dragon soul after the Dragon God died." This was like a heavy bomb, ruthlessly destroying the last trace of fluke in the Dragon King's heart. If Tang Jing said that there was a dragon soul, it might be possible that he was lying. However, there was no way he could lie when he said that there was a fragment of the Dragon God. This was because in the entire clan, only the Dragon King knew the secret of the dragon soul. The other dragons didn't know about the existence of the Dragon God. Therefore it was impossible for Tang Jing to make up a lie. Only when he had truly experienced it would he know the core secret of this matter. The expression on the Dragon King's face could no longer be described with simple words. Even the most complicated color palette in the world was not as complicated as his expression. The Dragon King looked at Tang Jing again. The more he looked, the more he couldn't see through him. Tang Jing met the Dragon King's gaze. He had already seen some clues. The Dragon King's last bit of doubt was crushed. He couldn't doubt anymore. Thus, he simply stopped talking, folded his arms, and looked at the Dragon King calmly. To read a novel, please visit Chapter 1594. The Dragon King's thoughts changed and his expression changed. In the end, his gaze was fixed on Tang Jing. Especially when he looked at his calm and composed appearance, he was furious. Read the new domain name, initials, previously registered accounts can still be used. However, he was the Dragon King after all, and his ability to maintain his composure was top-notch. He said, "Then tell me in detail what you saw inside." In fact, he wanted to enter Langia Pavilion himself to investigate, but before that, it was more appropriate to listen to what Tang Jing had to say. Tang Jing wanted to tell him anyway, and he could not hide it from him. Back then, the Dragon Seniors had warned him not to tell others about the inverted Langia Pavilion, and only he knew about it. This way the Dragon Soul's safety would be guaranteed. However, now that the Dragon Slayers could enter Langia Pavilion, the Dragon Soul was no longer safe. He could not rely on his own strength to fight against the Dragon Slayers, so he had to tell the Dragon King this secret. Of course, the Dragon King would definitely not make it public. At least for a short period of time, the Dragon Soul's secret would still be kept. Therefore, Tang Jing started from the beginning and told him tirelessly. He even told him the original words that the Dragon Seniors reprimanded the Dragon race. The Dragon King's old face turned red. He had just reprimanded Tang Jing as a sinner of the Dragon race, but the Dragon Seniors reprimanded the Dragon race for being useless. They actually followed the rules for so many years and did not dare to explore that area at all. Of course, this was partly due to the Dragon King. He usually ordered the Dragon race to follow the ancestral teachings. This was why the Dragon race did not dare to take the risk. When he heard that the Dragon Seniors taught Tang Jing the remarkable ability, the Dragon King's eyes lit up. He could not help but feel envious. This was not an ordinary inheritance of the Dragon race. It was only taught to Tang Jing alone. The remarkable ability of the Dragon Seniors is the wealth of the Dragon race. It should be shared by the Dragon race. This way we will have more capital when fighting against the Dragon Slayers. We can avoid the situation like before where we can only be sensed by the Dragon Slayers and not be able to sense the Dragon Slayers, as if they were blind. The Dragon King said righteously. Tang Jing looked at him deeply, and a meaningful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said indifferently, "This is indeed the wealth of the Dragon race, so I will teach it to every dragon." He did not say that he would only teach the Dragon King the sensing method. If the Dragon King kept it to himself, it would go against his original intention. Therefore, he decided to impart it to every member of the Dragon tribe. After all, this was indeed the wealth of the Dragon tribe, and every member of the Dragon tribe had the right to obtain it. In addition, with his previous experience, his image in the Dragon clan was not good. If he had this mystical power, perhaps he could eliminate the ill feelings in many people's hearts. After all, he was also a member of the Dragon Clan. It was impossible for him to break off relations with the Dragon Clan. How could he let go of the opportunity to build a good relationship with them? Hearing his decision, the Dragon King looked at him deeply and did not raise any objections. Tang Zheng continued his story. What happened next was even more exciting and thrilling. He emphasized the first and second time he encountered the Dragon Slayer in Langya Pavilion. When he heard that Tang Zheng repeatedly eliminated the Dragon Slayer, it seemed to be an understatement, but the danger was unimaginable for ordinary people. The Dragon King's heart was also surging. He no longer doubted Tang Zheng's words. All of this could not be made up, especially in front of the Dragon King. If he made up nonsense, the Dragon King would be able to see through it in less than 3 sentences. It turned out that Langya Pavilion was already in danger. As the Dragon King, he was actually unaware. If he did not come to inform him, he was afraid that he would only find out when Langya Pavilion was destroyed by the Dragon Slayer in the future. Suddenly, his feelings towards Tang Zheng became complicated. He could not explain it clearly in a sentence. What did you gain from fusing with the Dragon God Fragment? The Dragon King cleverly grasped the key point. The Dragon God Fragment was not an ordinary item. It was the Dragon God's Dragon Soul Fragment. The Dragon King could not figure out what kind of mysterious effect it had. However, he could conclude that the Dragon God Fragment was definitely not simple. Once fused with it, there would definitely be a great gain. Even with his identity as the Dragon King, he could not help but be a little envious of Tang Zheng for having such a fortuitous encounter. Tang Zheng hesitated. Of course he gained something, and that was the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. However, should he make it public? The Golden Dragon also looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze. He knew that he was in a dilemma, but he did not say anything. Everything was up to Tang Zheng to decide. He supported him unconditionally. Tang Zheng slowly raised his head and met the Dragon King's eyes. The Dragon King's heart was also in suspense. He was very sure that after fusing with the Dragon God Fragment, he would definitely gain something. He could not predict whether Tang Zheng would tell the truth or not. Of course, he hoped that Tang Zheng would tell the truth. However, it was not up to him to decide. Yes. Tang Zheng simply spat out a word. The Dragon King's eyes immediately lit up, sparkling like 2 bright stars. He stared at Tang Zheng in an overbearing manner and asked, "What harvest?" The advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Tang Zheng had already made up his mind. The advanced version of the Dragon God technique could benefit the Dragon Clan. How could he keep it to himself? That was not his style. Dragon God technique. Advanced version? The Dragon King suspiciously repeated. He looked at him in astonishment, not understanding the mystery behind it. The Dragon God technique is the foundation of the Dragon Clan's cultivation. It is also the first cultivation method that the Dragon Clan came into contact with. However, the Dragon God technique that the Dragon Clan cultivates is not perfect. It still has an advanced version which can make up for the Dragon God technique. The Dragon King's mind was shaken. This was something he had never heard of. He was from the Dragon Clan, but it was an outsider who told him these secrets of the Dragon Clan. He could not help but feel ashamed of his inferiority and indignant. Tang Zheng did not care about the Dragon King's thoughts. He spread out his palm and said, "This is the benefit of cultivating the advanced version of the Dragon God technique." A ball of golden light appeared in his palm. Then, a 9-clawed little golden dragon appeared in his palm. Its pair of small eyes stared at the Dragon King without fear. The Dragon King was stunned. He looked at the 9-clawed little golden dragon in shock. He subconsciously wanted to reach out and touch it, but in the next second he stopped. That would be too degrading. In fact, he did not even need to touch it. He was sure that this little golden dragon was not an illusion. It was the real thing. He did not understand the mystery behind it. He suddenly raised his head and stared at Tang Zheng. He asked, "What is going on?" The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth rose. He said, "Can't you see?" The Dragon King was startled. He did not know how to answer. He was the Dragon King, but he could not see through Tang Zheng's trick. Wasn't this slapping his own face? The Dragon King's face sank. It was as if dark clouds were pressing down on him. He looked at Tang Zheng gloomily without saying a word. Tang Zheng was not afraid. Although he had revealed the truth, he did not agree with the Dragon King's previous attitude. It was too high and mighty. That was why he deliberately choked. Fortunately, there were not many dragons present. Otherwise, the Dragon King would not have a way out. The Golden Dragon was secretly happy. This was Tang Zheng's style. He had already experienced it. Back then, Tang Zheng's cultivation level was so low that the golden dragon did not gain much advantage in front of him. Please visit this site to read the latest novel. Readers who want to read this book, please read a Yu novel or Chapter 1595. Can't you tell? A simple sentence poked at the Dragon King's weak spot. He looked at Tang Zheng with a gloomy face and stared at the little nine-clawed golden dragon. In his eyes, this was a young dragon. It looked weak, but its strength was not to be underestimated. He really could not figure it out. Seeing that the Dragon King was unable to answer, Tang Zheng sneered. The Dragon King's eyesight was only SOSO. Back then, the golden dragon was able to see through the mystery because he had been with Tang Zheng all the time and understood Tang Zheng very well. However, the Dragon King knew almost nothing about Tang Zheng. There was too much information that he did not know, so it was naturally not easy to guess. Tang Zheng coughed and deliberately said, "This is the little golden dragon in my dragon seal." What? The little golden dragon in your dragon seal can materialize and leave your body? The Dragon King turned pale with fright. This point shocked him once again. He subconsciously probed his dragon seal. A nine-clawed little golden dragon was full of vigor. A dragon had 9 claws. This was the limit. Therefore, the Dragon King also only had 9 claws. However, no matter how the Dragon King looked left and right, he could not make the little golden dragon leave his body. This completely subverted his knowledge and common sense. However, the truth was right in front of his eyes. He could not have the slightest doubt. Tang Zheng looked at the Dragon King without batting an eyelid. Finally, the Dragon King seemed to have recovered from his shock. He suddenly raised his head and stared at Tang Zheng with a complicated look in his eyes. Tang Zheng had already said that this was the benefit of cultivating the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. This miraculous change was naturally the credit of the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. He could not wait to see the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Quickly tell me the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. The Dragon King ordered with an unquestionable tone. Tang Zheng was unmoved and said, "This is the commonwealth of the Dragon Clan. It does not belong to one person. Therefore, I will personally announce it to all the Dragon Clan." The Dragon King's pupils constricted as a golden light flashed. He lowered his body and approached Tang Zheng. Their eyes met as he stared at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. He asked, "What are you trying to do?" "I don't want the inheritance of the Dragon God to be reduced to the privilege of a few dragons. This is the commonwealth of all dragons, and all dragons have the right to inherit it," Tang Zheng said indifferently, not fearing the Dragon King's aggressive gaze. He was already very clear that the dragon race was a privileged world with a strict hierarchy. The strong were respected, and many magical powers were reduced to the private privileges of certain dragon race members. He hoped to change this. Of course, he also hoped to use this opportunity to raise his status in the Dragon Clan. Dragon King immediately retorted, "No. The Dragon Clan has its own rules, and it's not something that can be broken by just one person. Rules are dead. They were set by some dragons. Rules can be broken." Tang Zheng did not back down and immediately retorted, "You are making an enemy out of the entire Dragon Clan," the Dragon King said resolutely. The reason why the Dragon King became the Dragon King was not only because he was the strongest, but also because he had many privileges that other dragons did not know about and knew many secrets. Naturally, he did not want anyone to break this. This was a very bad sign. The Dragon King's dignity would be challenged because of this. He definitely could not sit back and do nothing. What an alarmist. Can a single dragon represent the entire Dragon Clan? How could Tang Zheng not know what the Dragon King was thinking and said jokingly, "I don't know where you came from, but I want to tell you the world of the Dragon Clan is not as simple as you think." The Dragon King warned. "Dragon King, the advanced version of the Dragon God technique will greatly increase the strength of the Dragon Clan. In the future, it will be easier to fight against the Dragon Slayers. Are you really going to keep it to yourself and hide it?" Tang Zheng said fiercely. Once these words were said, the Dragon King was also angry. He did not really want to hide the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. After all, this was a good thing that was beneficial to all the Dragon Clan. However, he couldn't just stand by and watch as a foreign dragon announced this matter. What would happen to his prestige if that happened? This kind of thing should be announced by him. Who said I want to keep it to myself? This kind of thing should be done by me, not some guy of unknown origin. The Dragon King said angrily. Haha, what an unknown origin. Tang Zheng snorted. If that's the case, Then why do you still want my advanced version of the Dragon God technique? Aren't you afraid that I will purposely make a harmful version? You actually dare to boast so shamelessly. I am precisely worried about this, so I don't want you to announce it to the Dragon Clan. You have to let me take a look first. Let you take a look first? Tang Jing shook his head and said firmly, impossible. Once he told the Dragon King would have the opportunity to announce it to the Dragon Clan on his behalf. He would not have anything to do with it. He wouldn't do such a thing to benefit others. Actually, if the Dragon King had put down his high and mighty attitude and came to talk calmly, he would not have been so insistent. But after seeing the Dragon King's style, he changed his mind. Hearing Tang Zheng's straightforward rejection, the Dragon King became more and more angry. This is the Dragon Domain. It is not up to you. What, do you still want to fight? You are the high and mighty Dragon King. How can you treat your own clansmen like this? Tang Jing did not expect the Dragon King to turn against him so quickly. You don't know what's good for you. You only have yourself to blame, the Dragon King said coldly. Immediately the atmosphere became abnormally awkward and hostile. Tang Jing straightened his body and sighed, I didn't expect the Dragon Clan to become like this. The Dragon God was betrayed back then, and a group of dragon slayers appeared between heaven and earth to exterminate the Dragon Clan. Now the Dragon Clan does not know how to be united. They are scattered and even want to harm their own clansmen. Perhaps the Dragon God did not think of this back then. I think it won't be long before the Langya Pavilion is destroyed and the Dragon Clan will be completely destroyed by the Dragon Slayers. Tang Jing was very emotional. He did not expect that his trip full of hope would end up like this. Facing such a situation, could he take a step back? Yes. But after taking a step back, he had to take a second step back. He did not want to become an unprincipled person. He came to help the Dragon Clan, not to be their enemy. Yet he was treated like this. He was also indignant. They stared at each other. The atmosphere became very subtle and hostile. The Golden Dragon looked left and right. He hesitated for a moment and said, Dragon King, Master is thinking for the Dragon Clan. He has no selfish motives. You may have misunderstood. The Dragon Slayers may enter the Langya Pavilion again at any time. At that time we will be passive. Shut up. Before he could finish, the Dragon King interrupted him with a shout. Without even looking at him, the Dragon King said with a murderous aura, This is a matter of the Dragon Clan. It should be up to me to decide. Since when is it your turn to criticize? The Golden Dragon had no choice but to swallow his words. He looked at the Dragon King resentfully, then moved his feet and stood beside Tang Zheng. Obviously he had made his choice. If they fought, he would stand on Tang Zheng's side. This scene angered the Dragon King even more. His eyes were almost spitting fire. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 1596. Both sides stared at each other, neither taking a step back. Instead, it was as if they were fighting each other. Especially the Golden Dragon's small action, it provoked the Dragon King's nerves. Net is almost equal to he was high and mighty and hated the betrayal of other dragons the most. He could not tolerate this at all. But the Golden Dragon's action was undoubtedly a scene he did not want to see the most. The Dragon King slowly raised his hand and pointed at Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon. His body glowed brightly as he said, The Dragon God's fragment is the wealth of the Dragon Clan. How can it fall into your hands? Hand it over. Before he finished speaking, a ray of golden light shot out from the Dragon King's hand. It was incomparably dazzling and imposing. It covered Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon from top to bottom, front to back, left to right, covering every corner. Tang Zheng moved his thoughts and recalled the 9-clawed Golden Dragon into the Dragon Seal. With a flash of sword light, the hidden mystic sword was already tightly grasped in his hand. Whoosh! The sword light spun and covered every corner, perfectly blocking the Dragon King's attack. The sacred rune's light kept flashing. Tang Zheng looked at the sacred rune in surprise. There were no longer 3 sacred runes on the hidden mystic sword. Instead, there were only 2 sacred runes left. Back then, when the sword spirit left the Langya Pavilion, Tang Zheng did not pay attention to it. Now that he summoned the hidden mystic sword, he found that it had undergone a shocking change. The 3 sacred runes turned into 2. The simpler the sacred runes, the more powerful the magic treasure. 2 sacred runes were naturally simpler than 3, so its power was naturally greater. With a thought in his mind, he figured out the mystery behind it. The hidden mystic sword must have absorbed the Dragon Slayer's soul in the Langya Pavilion. Ever since the hidden mystic sword leveled up, it had this effect. It would also benefit from this and increase its grade. This incident was the best proof. The hidden mystic sword's grade had increased again. The beauty of the 2 sacred runes was definitely greater than the 3 sacred runes. It made people want to touch it. Tang Zheng's hand touched the same pattern. Immediately, the hidden sword seemed to be stimulated. Its light shone even more brightly, even becoming a little violent. It spread in all directions like streaks of lightning. With the hidden sword as the core, it spread in all directions in an instant. Not long after, the huge dragon palace was completely filled with lightning-like sword light. It kept flashing and emitting sword whistling sounds as if it was cheering and singing. The 3 of them couldn't help but stare blankly. Even Tang Zheng, the master, was deeply shocked by the hidden sword's reaction. This was completely beyond his expectations. The golden dragon's eyes lit up as it looked at Tang Zheng with even more reverence. As expected of master, he was truly amazing. The Dragon King subconsciously stopped his attack and stared at the hidden sword without blinking. There was envy in his eyes. He opened his mouth and exclaimed, "Is this your magic weapon?" Of course, the Dragon King knew what was good for him. He could tell at a glance that the hidden mystic sword was extraordinary. It was more powerful and of a higher grade than any other magic weapon he had ever seen. He was very shocked. This was actually a magic weapon of his own race. It was even better than his own magic weapon. This was simply unreasonable. When Tang Zheng heard this, he came back to his senses. Seeing the Dragon King look at his hidden profound sword in such a strange manner, his eyebrows trembled as he cautiously said, "This is my treasure, so what do you want? Don't tell me you want to take it by force and take it for yourself?" The Dragon King flew into a rage and snorted, "What do you think I, the Dragon King, am? There are countless treasures in the Dragon clan. Why would I covet your magic weapon?" Tang Zheng looked at him suspiciously, half believing, half doubtfully said, "Is that so? But why don't I believe you?" He recalled the Dragon King's actions and couldn't help but have a suspicious attitude. The Dragon King even wanted to take the advanced version of the Dragon God spell for himself. It was impossible for him to see the hidden sword and not do anything. When the Dragon King heard this, he was unable to restrain his anger. He took a deep breath and suppressed his impulse to immediately attack. He said, "The person chooses the magic weapon. The magic weapon also chooses the person. This is especially true for the saint-level magic weapon. Unknowingly, it will make a choice for its owner." The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng meaningfully and continued, "It is impossible for a weak person to have a very powerful magic weapon. The magic weapon and its owner complement each other. It is impossible for a weak person to have a very heaven-defying magic weapon. He will not have the fortune to enjoy it and will definitely suffer a backlash. He will definitely die." Tang Zheng shivered. He had never heard of this theory. His magic weapons were all upgraded step by step. No one was a heaven-defying existence from the beginning. Could it be because of this that he did not suffer from a backlash? This magic weapon of yours is close to perfection. It is really hard to imagine how it became like this step by step. Especially the sacred pattern on it. It is perfect to the extreme. The Dragon King was not stingy with his praise. The Dragon clan was born with a love for treasures. Naturally, they had trained a pair of fiery eyes. Therefore, the Dragon King would not be wrong. Tang Zheng's gaze subconsciously fell on the hidden sword. 2 sacred patterns. Could it be that it was close to perfection like the Dragon King said? No. He secretly denied it. Since the sacred pattern could be reduced, and the simpler the better, it could definitely be evolved. For example, it could evolve into a sacred pattern. Its power would definitely be stronger. Tang Zheng held the hidden sword in his hand. Seeing that the Dragon King had given up on the next attack, he slightly narrowed his eyes and looked at him. He said, "Aren't you going to attack?" "I'll wait." The Dragon King's expression kept changing. He moved his gaze from the hidden sword to Tang Zheng's face. That tall and straight body and resolute face was like an unsheathed sword. "Where did you come from?" After a while, the Dragon King asked seriously. Tang Zheng slightly frowned and said jokingly, "You finally remembered to ask about my origin. How rare." From the moment they entered the Dragon Palace until the 2 sides were at loggerheads, the Dragon King did not ask about Tang Zheng's origin. It was as if in his heart, his origin was not important and not worth mentioning. But when he saw the hidden sword, he actually changed his style and asked about Tang Zheng's origin. Therefore, even Tang Zheng himself could not figure it out. The Dragon King said coldly, "The Dragon clan is a world where the strong are respected. Although you had a fortuitous encounter and even fused with the dragon god's fragment, it was only a fortuitous encounter. The dragon clan does not respect people with fortuitous encounters. They only respect the strong. Tang Jing thought back to the bumpy road he had walked. He did not exclude the fortuitous encounters, but more than that, it was his hard work and effort. A true strong person will not become strong because of one or two fortuitous encounters. Instead, they are good at using fortuitous encounters to create a truly strong person. Only those who are weak will be lucky and place all their hopes on fortuitous encounters. The Dragon King added. Tang Jing seemed to have understood the Dragon King's reaction. Chapter 1597. You're giving me a chance? Hearing this, Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon looked at each other in dismay, not understanding what the Dragon King meant. At the same time, his impression of the Dragon King changed. It seemed that his original understanding was not comprehensive, and the Dragon King was not as simple as he thought. A person was multifaceted, and so was the Dragon King. Especially the king of a clan, he could not be judged by a single standard. The Dragon King looked at him and nodded. Didn't you want to announce the advanced version of the Dragon God technique and the method to sense the Dragon Slayer in public? Then I'll give you a chance. If you can pass, you will naturally have this chance. What do you mean? Tang Jing asked. The Dragon King said meaningfully, the dragon race respects the strong, only the strong have more choices. If you can pass the test, then it means that you are strong enough, and at that time, you can naturally do as you wish. Tang Jing thought for a while and gradually understood his intentions. The Dragon King had prepared a test for him. If he passed, then everything would be fine. If he did not, then it would not be up to him. The Dragon King was indeed very overbearing, not giving Tang Jing a chance to refute. But Tang Jing was not someone who would back down. He was not afraid. He raised his head and said, I would like to see what kind of test you have. The Dragon King gave an enigmatic smile and said, simple. You just have to pass the Dragon Cave. Dragon Cave. Hearing these two words, the Golden Dragon screamed in shock, revealing a look of fear. Tang Jing looked at the Golden Dragon curiously and asked, what is the Dragon Cave? The Dragon King glanced at the Golden Dragon and said, it seems that he knows far more than you. Then explain it to him. The Golden Dragon swallowed his saliva and said hesitantly, Master, the Dragon Cave is the most dangerous place in the dragon realm. Once you enter, you will die 9 times out of 10. I heard that no dragon has ever walked out alive. So dangerous. Tang Jing sucked in a breath of cold air. He did not expect the Dragon King's test to be so dangerous. Wrong. The Dragon King suddenly stretched out his finger and shook it, saying, You're wrong. It's not that no dragon has ever walked out of the Dragon Cave alive, it's just that there are too few of them. Do you know that every Dragon King came out of the Dragon Cave? Tang Jing's pupils constricted as he stared straight at the Dragon King. You came out of the Dragon Cave? The Dragon King raised his head proudly. Although he did not answer, his meaning was self-evident. I promise you. Tang Jing no longer hesitated and decisively agreed. Master. Hearing this, the Golden Dragon was shocked and blurted out. His face was full of anxiety. He didn't expect Tang Jing to agree so easily. Tang Jing looked at the Golden Dragon and nodded slightly. Don't worry, if he can walk out of the Dragon Cave alive, can't I? The Golden Dragon swallowed his words. He couldn't deny Tang Jing. If he did, he would be defeated by the Dragon King. However, he was well aware of the dangers of the Dragon Cave. What if something unexpected happened? He didn't dare to continue thinking about it and could only pray silently. He took a deep breath and warned himself to believe in his master's strength. The Dragon King didn't expect Tang Jing to agree so easily and thought that he would refuse. He secretly nodded and said, Although you haven't entered the Dragon Cave, your courage is commendable. The Dragon King had already determined that Tang Jing would fail, but he also admired his fearless courage. Tang Jing looked at him indifferently and didn't comment. The Dragon King didn't speak to him anymore and walked straight to the entrance of the Dragon Palace. All the conflicts temporarily disappeared. Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon looked at each other and silently followed. Boom. The door opened automatically and the 8 dragon envoys immediately surrounded them. They stared at Tang Jing curiously and found that he was still alive and unharmed. They couldn't help but mutter in their hearts, guessing what had happened just now. However, it was all in vain. They couldn't guess at all. The other dragons also looked at Tang Jing curiously and muttered in their hearts. The Dragon King raised his head and looked down at everyone. He pointed at Tang Jing and said directly, He will enter the dragon cave to accept the test. What? These words were like a heavy bomb, thrown into the crowd and then set off a perilous wave. Everyone stared blankly at Tang Jing, their eyes filled with an extremely complicated expression. Why would he agree to go to the dragon cave? What was the reason? Didn't he know the dangers of the dragon cave? What was the difference between this and suicide? However, there were also dragons who rejoiced in his misfortune. Among them was the dragon envoy who had a conflict with Tang Jing just now. He looked at him mockingly as if saying that he was dead meat. The golden dragon looked at their reactions and gazes and felt indignant. He pouted and couldn't wait to clear his master's name. However, Tang Jing was calm and collected as if he didn't see it at all. He said, "When I come out of the dragon cave, I hope to see all the dragons in the dragon domain gathered together. Then I will make an announcement in public." Tang Jing's voice was neither fast nor slow, neither light nor heavy. However, in the ears of the other dragons, it was like a thunderclap that attracted their attention. What was he going to announce in public? What agreement did he reach with the Dragon King? Pairs of eyes involuntarily looked at the Dragon King, but the Dragon King ignored them. Instead, he looked at Tang Jing mockingly and said, "Then you have to come out of the dragon cave first. With so many dragons as witnesses, I hope you don't go back on your words. Otherwise your prestige as the Dragon King will be questioned." Tang Jing provoked. The Dragon King obviously knew that he couldn't deny this matter in front of everyone. However, that would only happen if Tang Jing came out of the dragon cave. Among the dragons present, only the Dragon King had a deep understanding of the dangers of the dragon cave. He had the most right to speak. Therefore he sized up Tang Jing from head to toe and sneered in his heart. He didn't need to worry at all. It was all groundless worries. The other dragons were intrigued. They saw Tang Jing looking at them. His voice was like rolling waves that surged and spread in all directions. "I will enter the dragon cave today. If I am lucky enough to come out alive, I will bring a huge gift to the dragon clan." When these words came out, all the dragons were shocked and filled with curiosity. The Dragon King sneered and said to himself, "Although your words have piqued the curiosity of others, you can't pass through the dragon cave. Everything is in vain. In order to avoid slapping your own face in the future, you should speak less." Tang Jing laughed dryly and said, "This is my business. You don't need to worry. Where is the dragon cave? Bring me there." The Dragon King soared into the sky. A white cloud flew to his feet. The dragon envoys also soared into the sky. Somersault cloud. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.